What's happening from the Fox News Rundown?
Good morning. It's Friday, June 9th, and this is the Fox News Rundown. I'm Paul Stevens. Former President Donald Trump has been indicted on charges of mishandling classified documents.
The former president of the United States charged 7 counts at least, is our understanding, although we have not seen the document. The former president indicted on charges, we are understanding, at least according to some sources, of obstruction of justice, false statements. He has now been ordered to appear in a Miami courtroom on Tuesday at 3 p.m. At that point, he is expected to be officially arrested, booked, processed, and then appear before a judge, at which point the former president is expected to enter a not guilty plea, or a representative of him will do that for the judge.
Fox's Kevin Corke, the former president, posting on his Truth Social account in part, quote, "The corrupt Biden administration has informed my attorneys that I have been indicted seemingly over the boxes hoax," unquote. He also released a video statement.
This is warfare for the law, and we can't let it happen. We can't let it happen. Our country is going to hell, and they come after Donald Trump, weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the FBI. We can't let this continue to go on because it's ripping our country to shreds.
Donald Trump adding that he's innocent. The Justice Department had been investigating Mr. Trump after the FBI conducted an unprecedented raid on his private residence back in August of last year. Allegations against President Biden overshadowing a Thursday news conference with Mr. Biden and his British counterpart.
President Biden downplaying corruption claims from House Oversight Republicans allowed today to view the FBI 1023 source form alleging a pay-to-play scheme when he was vice president. Congresswoman Nancy Mace says the document alleged payments that also went to Biden using shell companies.
Multiple payments of $5 million each to each Biden. If the information contained in this document is true, then there will be absolutely bank records to back it up.
But a source familiar with the FBI document tells Fox, to be clear, the document does not say Joe Biden received any payments. Former Attorney General Bill Barr says the unverified claims are still being investigated in Delaware.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the White House. Meantime, President Biden reiterating the U.S. partnership with the United Kingdom while standing alongside Prime Minister Rishi Sunak.
So today, we're releasing a new plan to equip our economic partnership for the 21st century. It outlines how we can enhance our cooperation to accelerate the clean energy transition that must take place and is taking place, lead the development of emerging technologies that are going to shape so much of our future, and protect technologies critical to our national security.
Mr. Biden and Britain's leader have already had 4 face-to-face meetings since Sunak became prime minister back in October. Joran van der Sloot, the main suspect in the 2005 disappearance of U.S. student Natalie Holloway, has landed in Alabama after being handed over to U.S. custody.
Van der Sloot arrived at the Hoover City Jail about 15 miles outside of Birmingham. That's where he'll be housed during his federal trial for financial crimes indirectly related to the disappearance of Natalie Holloway. 18 years after Holloway disappeared on the island of Aruba, the case officially remains unsolved. But Van der Sloot's temporary transfer to U.S. custody comes as at least a partial victory for Natalie's family, who have been suspicious of his involvement in the case since he was seen leaving a bar with Natalie just before her disappearance during a senior class trip to Aruba in 2005.
Fox's Jonathan Seri in Birmingham. Joran van der Sloot's initial court appearance and arraignment are set for today, Friday. The U.S. Supreme Court issuing a ruling Thursday in favor of black voters in a congressional redistricting case in Alabama, rejecting a Republican-led push to weaken a landmark voting rights law. Another day of thick, hazardous haze and smoke on Thursday for millions in parts of the U.S., all thanks to ongoing Canadian wildfires. Those conditions sending asthma sufferers to hospitals in some areas, delaying flights and postponing athletic contests. I'm Paul Stevens on the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
Is the path to business prosperity to find your best clients,
Bongino.
in other words, people with big voices like News Talk STL, and then to kick them off the platform and attack them for barely stating an opinion?
Weekdays at 11.
You think that's an effective business model?
On News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for the cleaning pros at Zero Res. The team at Zero Res has rescued our home many times over the years, and right now they have an amazing summer offer you don't want to miss. Book a cleaning now for your home or business, and you'll get 20% off all services. Just mention the Colombo special, and whether it's carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, or air ducts, you'll get their best in the business cleaning for 20% off. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forwards or backwards, it spells the same, Zero Res.
This is Julia Gordon-Bramer, your host of Mystic Fix. I'm a professional tarot card reader, author, and scholar of mysticism. Mystic Fix offers playful, practical advice and spiritual tools for modern living. It's a program for the whole being and journeying the lesser-traveled paths. Each show features guests and authors in lively conversation, ranging from crystals to Kabbalah, yoga to Yetis, and of course, tarot card reading.
Mystic Fix, Saturday nights at 8 on News Talk STL.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
A bunch of un-Americans will never bring down a great American.
101.9 and 94.1.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me vent here.
And I'm so glad you're out there.
News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first.
Communism is more than a ghost from the past. It's a clear and present danger. I'm Jesse Kelly, and I've written the essential guide to help you fight back. The Anti-Communist Manifesto arms you with tools and tactics to defend America against its most malicious enemy. Discover the infiltration of communists in education and corporations, and the hidden truth behind environmentalism, Antifa, and Black Lives Matter. Stand up for your nation. Join the fight. Get your copy of the Anti-Communist Manifesto today. Available wherever books are sold.
On this Friday, after graduating with a degree in history, I began my formal work career teaching high school in a ghetto town called Opelika, north of Miami, Florida. There was a fairly intense bullying situation at the school that some teachers ignored, not me. The effeminate boys got it bad. It was a mixed-race school, mostly comprised of working-class kids. This was early in the 1970s, when high school bullying was largely in your face, not done anonymously on a device as happens today. Anyway, I bullied the bullies and stopped a lot of bad stuff, but not all. Some kids got crushed. Today, gay is widely accepted in American society and even celebrated with parades and ballpark expositions. Most people of goodwill have no problem with that. But the aggressive trans movement is changing things. Allowing biological males to compete with females in sports is obviously unfair. Presenting complicated gender-based situations to 8-year-olds is absurd. So the progress the gay community has made is now being undermined by lunatic progressives. This, of course, is ironic, but most of all, foolish and self-defeating. And the backlash is real, as Target, Bud Light, and the Dodgers are finding out. I just hope vulnerable children will not get caught in the middle. But inevitably, some will be. Back after this. If you are a timeshare owner, you're probably upset that your yearly dues continue to increase. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and done in a specific time frame. They're the only company you can trust, having helped more than 18,000 owners legally and permanently get out. So please call Lone Star Transfer 855-551-7066 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. A little warmer today, but humidity remains low. Another very nice day for June. Sunny skies up to 84. Tonight, mostly clear and dry. Lows in the upper 50s to low 60s. Humidity creeps up a little tomorrow. It's a warmer day, too, with a high of 88. Stray shower possible late Saturday, but rain chances really rocket up on Sunday with occasional rain and storms. Cooler with highs only in the 70s. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I don't think anybody can question that more people watched Tucker Carlson's Twitter show, that 10-minute show that he put out this week, than watched any particular show, any individual show on Fox News or on any other cable channel this past week, or probably any time in any recent week. So why could that have gotten Tucker Carlson in some legal trouble? Yeah, I've got the update for you on that right around 6:20. Interesting little twist in the case. So I'll tell you what we know. Curious as to what you think. Good morning. Happy Friday to you. I'm Mike Ferguson. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of your week, as always. All right, the big announcement this week locally came on the Democratic side when Wesley Bell says he's going to run for U.S. Senate, launches his campaign video and everything. He's in. Well, Republican conservative campaign consultant and pundit Greg Keller joined us on Thursday to give us his take on Wesley Bell's campaign for U.S. Senate.
I've been doing this media policy, politics campaign thing for a while, over 25 years. There's a little bit of time there. Usually I've got my finger on the pulse of things, not just Republican, but on the Democratic side as well. I know what's going on. Yeah. I did not see it coming when the news broke that Wesley Bell said he's running for U.S. Senate.
I don't know anybody who saw this coming.
Right. And the first reaction I saw from everybody, including many of my friends who are a little more on the left, was, why? I mean, what's in it for Wesley?
Yeah.
So what's this campaign going to look like? Now, he's not guaranteed to be the nominee. The Democrats already have another candidate in that race as well, but he's going to come in with a more high-profile name. We're joined now by Greg Keller from Atlas Strategies and the political pundit extraordinaire. And Greg, I just keep going back to the question, why? What's in it for Wesley Bell? He can't honestly think that he's got a chance of winning the U.S. Senate seat in November.
Yeah, I'm going to agree, Mike. I would also say, however, and thanks for having me today, I would say that running for office against someone like Josh Hawley has become big business. I would almost liken it to, these 19 people who run for president every 4 years. Nikki Haley has got to know that she's not going to be the next president of the United States. However, she does know that if she runs, she maybe gets a cable show, she maybe gets a book deal. She gets, it's a no-lose proposition. And if you're a Democrat, a liberal Democrat running against Josh Hawley, whom the left hates with the strength of 10,000 suns, this candidate could raise $25, $50, maybe even $100 million. And it's an opportunity to raise a ton of money. It's an opportunity to get your name out there, maybe set yourself up, who knows, for an appointment later in the future. But yeah, it's certainly an uphill battle for Democrats.
Good morning, Greg. Gabe here. So I follow definitely the idea of raising your profile enough to get their book tours, get your speaking engagements, those type of things. But help me out as a sort of political novice on some level, and maybe some of the listeners on the political side of things, is how you increase your profile by losing an election.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. And Democrats already had, Gabe, they had a difficult row to hoe to begin with here. I actually think that Lucas Kunce was a pretty good recruit for them. This is a guy who has no voting record. This is a guy who's proven he can raise money. I think what Democrats are in for now, though, is really just a civil war in this primary. I think you're going to see kind of the white online establishment Democrat left line up behind Lucas Kunce. I think that Wesley Bell is going to have a tremendous following in the black community amongst Democrat primary voters. And it's going to lay bare a lot of the problems in the Democrat Party that they would just as soon not talk about, and it's going to really, really deflect them from taking on Josh Hawley head on. It's going to be a very difficult proposition for them.
Greg, sometimes I see it as these races are just get somebody who's got a little bit of a high profile, and at least you can support and drive voters to the polls for your down ticket candidates. Does Wesley Bell help down ticket candidates, state reps, state senate, anything like that with his presence in this race if he becomes the nominee?
If he becomes the nominee, I think the fact that he's, a Soros-supported urban prosecutor is going to be who's viewed as having been soft on crime. If he is the nominee for Democrats, it is going to have a very, very, very bad effect for Democrats in the rural areas. You can basically write off at that point every state Senate seat, every state rep seat, unless it's in St. Louis, Kansas City, or maybe Boone County. These rural outstate Missouri voters already look very askance at St. Louis candidates to begin with. That's something that, I used to work for Jim Talent. Talent was a conservative, but that's something that you always have to get over the hump with rural Missouri voters, is just that they have kind of a natural kind of skepticism about St. Louis candidates. That would be true in even more so for a soft on crime prosecutor like Wesley Bell.
Greg, it sounds like with all of the potential negatives coming out of this, that it drives home, the question even more so. Why would Wesley Bell agree to this? Why were his supporters kind of gassing him up to do this if there's so much on the line? And, just staying out of the way would be the better option, it seems.
Yeah, well, Democrats probably weren't going to win this seat regardless. I mean, Josh Hawley is probably the most popular elected official in Missouri today. The left hates him, but Missouri is a deep red state. Hawley's been making national news in the last week or so because he's written a book on manhood and the importance of men being responsible in their personal and professional lives. So, of course, the left hates him for writing a book like that. It was going to be a very difficult battle for them in the first place. I think another thing, too, is, guys, don't forget how influential within the political industry consultants have become. It's not just candidates who get on TV. It's not just candidates who can raise $50 million in a U.S. Senate race. It's also consultants stand to get paid. If Wesley Bell's campaign raises $50 or $100 million, like Democrats did in the U.S. Senate race in a losing effort in North Carolina last cycle, that's going to make a lot of already very powerful Democrat consultants pretty darn rich, too. And they hold a lot of sway in their party, as they do in the Republican Party, honestly.
Let me follow up with that collision between kind of the two aspects of the Democratic Party you mentioned just a few minutes ago, Greg. I mean, I don't know enough about the vote totals or where they are in the Democratic Party to make any kind of prediction as to whether Lucas Kunce or Wesley Bell is going to emerge as the nominee. But one thing that the left has always been, I think, better at than the right is circling the wagons after the primary election. Is this the type of environment that could create even more of a permanent crack in the base of the Democratic Party, or is this just another, we're going to spar for a few rounds and then get behind whoever has the nomination?
I think it's going to be pretty bad, guys. I mean, Lucas Kunce is kind of your typical upper middle class, white, woke, liberal. I think this is going to lay bare a lot of the problems that Democrats already have in their party. One of the interesting things that happened here, and it just hit Twitter last night, was that the AFL-CIO came out literally 12 hours before Wesley Bell announced and endorsed Lucas Kunce. They then came out, the Missouri AFL-CIO, the largest labor union in all of Missouri, one of the biggest political players in our entire state. They then came out on Twitter and basically said through third parties, that they likely would not have endorsed Kuntz had they known that Wesley Bell was going to be getting into the race. AFL-CIO has a long history of oftentimes backing white candidates over black candidates in Democrat primaries. They're very aware that they have that reputation. They're very concerned about it. You're already seeing kind of cracks in what is already a small Democrat base here in the state. I think they're going to be at each other's throats for the next year.
That's fascinating.
That's very interesting.
Greg, I didn't even know that. This is what you do for a living, and I did not catch that. I'm glad you brought that up, because there are different aspects of the Democratic Party. I mean, the Union Democrats, that's not typically your far left. Your fringy, campus woke LGBT activist sort of liberals, I don't get the impression have as much in common with the blue collar Democrats as I think they would like to tell us. And so, do we have a battle of who's woker and wokest and wokester?
I think we do. And guys, that wasn't the only example yesterday. Lucas Kuntz had gotten a couple of endorsements early on from a couple of our local black elected officials. The Ferguson mayor endorsed him. The Florissant mayor endorsed him. One of them came out yesterday, once Wesley Bell announced, and rescinded their endorsement. It was either the mayor of Ferguson or Florissant. I don't recall which one, but it's on Twitter. Your listeners can find it. Mm-hmm. The black elected official mayor of either Ferguson or Florissant, much like the AFL-CIO did, only worse, came out and rescinded their endorsement of Lucas Kuntz yesterday. So it's bad now. It's only going to get worse for Democrats. This is a nightmare scenario for them, guys.
Is this a snap decision by Wesley? It surprised me, but you typically put the feelers out, you let the funders know, you let the endorsers know early on, quietly, with those meetings over coffee and stuff like that. So is this something that just came about quickly?
I think it broke pretty late, yeah. I tend to, I have a lot of friends both on the Republican and Democrat operative side of things, and I tend to hear about these things pretty quick and sooner than most. I didn't hear about this until about 48 hours before it was announced. I did talk to some Democrat operative friends of mine yesterday afternoon who said that as of yesterday afternoon, Wesley still hadn't called several of his largest donors to tell them that he was going to be running. You would think that those would be the very first people that would be clued into something like this. So I do think there is something to the idea that this is maybe a little bit of a snap decision, and it certainly surprised a lot of people.
What does the political landscape look like after this? It sounds like you're predicting some major schisms now with the local party. Does this have any national effects, or where do we go after the election?
I think it's going to be fascinating to see who lines up with whom. Does Cori Bush line up behind Wesley Bell? We're going to have to wait and see who's going to endorse whom. I think that the reality of the political landscape at this point is that Wesley Bell is now the front runner for the Democrat nomination for U.S. Senate. I think the question that's out there is Lucas Kuntz going to step aside? I do not think Lucas Kuntz is going to step aside. When it comes to political ambition, I would put Lucas Kuntz up there with someone like an Eric Greitens, just someone who goes to bed at night and wakes up in the morning thinking that he should be president of the United States. I don't think he's good, and I could be wrong, but I don't think he's going to get out of this race. And Wesley Bell, I think, is the front runner. Probably, maybe 40% of Democrat primary voters in this state are black voters. Wesley Bell is going to run very well amongst those voters. He's going to have a lot of strength coming out of St. Louis and St. Louis County, which is 50 to 60% of all Democrat primary voters statewide. Wesley Bell is going to be extremely difficult to beat in this primary.
Okay, so if you are Josh Hawley, what do you do, or do you keep your mouth shut and just let them divide the party?
Yeah, you pretty much just kind of make the popcorn and sit down on the couch at this point. It's like that meme, let them fight. This is going to be good, clean fun for Republicans for a long time. I kind of felt like yesterday was, as a Republican political operative and someone who's a Hawley supporter and has worked for Josh in the past, I mean, yesterday was kind of Christmas. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to see, much like Trudy Bush Valentine did and Lucas Kunce did during the last race, you're going to see these two race to get as far to the left as quickly as they possibly can. You know, Lucas Kunce was, forced to come out, in favor of girls playing boys sports in the last primary. He was forced to come out in favor of genital mutilation for minors. They're going to have to run real fast to the left. It's going to be something to see. And Republicans, frankly, at this point, should just enjoy it.
We've got the News Talk STL Morning News Roundup coming your way in just about 3 minutes and 46 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL right after this information segment.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Friday. At 4:24, we'll speak with Zach Smith from the Heritage Foundation, and at 5:25, Dr. Aaron Hedlund from the Show Me Institute.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hi, my name is Sherry McCants, and I am a certified nutrition coach with LifeWave. The number one indicator of wellness is directly correlated to the number of adult stem cells in the bloodstream. As we age, our stem cells decline. Who needs stem cells? Everyone. Contact me today for a free consultation at 515-208-6312. 515-208-6312.
Hey, Colombo here, reminding you that cybersecurity has never been more important, so you need to ask yourself, is your business prepared for a possible ransomware attack? And if you have any doubt, you need to call the team at ThrottleNet today. ThrottleNet provides world-class managed IT services and IT support to many local organizations, including my family's own small business. They're St. Louis's highest rated and most reviewed outsourced IT company, and there's many different ways ThrottleNet can help with your business's operation and digital protection. Learn more now at throttlenet.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s.
I should have been a cowboy.
Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks.
Let's go, girls.
Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com.
I'll go back.
Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa.
I love this station.
90s New Country streaming now. This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You know, still, I don't mean to pull the curtain back on how we produce this show very much, but on Fridays, the prevailing thought is, man, there's a lot of fatigue of politics and all the news, and we get into the fluffy, fun, fuzzy stuff.
Let's be lighthearted.
Yes, let's be lighthearted to keep the audience, because we can get back to the hard news on Monday. We don't have that luxury today.
Okay.
We just don't. I'm sure that you've heard another round of indictments issued against Donald Trump. This time we're talking about federal indictments. The New York thing is one thing. There is the possibility of indictments coming in the state of Georgia later related to the election. But right now we've got federal indictments, and this appears to be, and I say appears to be, it is, but they haven't confirmed it officially, but it's connected to the document situation in the raid at Mar-a-Lago months ago. So we'll get into some of the details in just a moment. Also, a St. Louis County municipality in St. Louis County is stealing its citizens' property in the name of addressing expired temp tags. I have not had a local news story make me as angry as this one did in a long time.
Wow, sounds like Chicago politics to me.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely as corrupt, and I can't imagine that this is legal, but I'll tell you what that is a little bit later. And we all know that Tucker is back, but for how long? Fox News wants his new show off of Twitter, and they might be able to do it. We'll talk about that in the 6 o'clock hour. All right, 5:55. Don't have a whole lot of time to cover the news roundup here. Former President Trump says he's been indicted on federal charges of mishandling classified documents. That's according to this story from Greg Clugston at Town Hall.
The indictment is the result of special counsel Jack Smith's investigation into whether Trump broke the law by holding on to hundreds of documents marked classified at his Florida home, and whether he took steps to obstruct the government's efforts to recover the records. Writing on social media, Trump said he's been summoned to appear at a federal courthouse in Miami on Tuesday. The former president described it as a dark day for the United States. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And Donald Trump put kind of an extended response on his Truth Social. Here's part of his response.
Our country is going to hell, and they come after Donald Trump, weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the FBI. We can't let this continue to go on because it's ripping our country to shreds. We have such big problems, and this shouldn't be one of them.
Okay, I'm watching the Rumble chat box right now. Give me your thoughts on there. 314-912-1019 is the number to be involved in the conversation here. And then Stell and Gabe are going to be watching Facebook as well. All right, what's your quick 10-second reaction here, Stell?
Well, they want to throw in espionage, too. Mm-hmm. So I say the whole thing is totally wacky, and they don't have any legal standing at all.
Okay, we're going to talk to Paul Kurtman at 6:05. This will come up in that. And then at 6:20, Stell, we're going into depth, including the charges. And you're right, that is one of the charges that are included, according to Donald Trump's lawyers. Okay, the Archdiocese of St. Louis has settled with one of the child sexual abuse victims who brought a complaint against a former priest over 20 years ago. The $1 million payment is the second that the church locally is paying out in relation to the actions of former priest Gary Walken. Walken was convicted in 2002 for abusing a boy in another case. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison, and the Archdiocese settles a lawsuit in that case. After the Archdiocese settled a lawsuit in that case for $1.6 million, Walken was then formally removed from the clergy by the Catholic Church in 2007. All right, after a day off, the Cardinals are back on the diamond tonight to start a series against the Reds at Busch Stadium. Normally, the sports story with the Cardinals is, kind of the, okay, here's how we end on a good note. But with this season, I don't know how to view that. The first pitch is at 7:15. They've actually got the Reds, and then it's the Giants, I think, are in town right after that as well, because I'm going to go to the game on Wednesday. Tonight, Jordan Montgomery is on the mound for the Redbirds, so he's bringing his incredibly intimidating 2-7 record. He's had some really bad luck. Pitched well in a couple cases and then just no run production and some rare defensive mishaps. But some other times it's like, dude, you're 2-7. Be glad you're still in the big leagues right now.
Exactly.
So, we'll see what happens in that one. But it's going to be a beautiful night for baseball, actually, next couple days. So get on out, I'm not going to encourage people to go downtown during the nighttime. I'll be there during the day game on Wednesday. All right, our good friend Paul Kurtman going to be with us here at 6:05. So we're going to talk about the Donald Trump indictments here a little bit. We got some other things, FBI documents with the Biden scandal. And then at 6:20, we're going in depth on this Donald Trump indictment, at least what we do know so far.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Former President Trump suggesting he has just begun to fight.
It's a hoax.
Mr. Trump on Truth Social condemning his unprecedented indictment in a classified documents investigation stemming from the FBI raid on his Florida home. The former president says that under the Biden regime, we're watching the republic go straight down the tubes.
And they come after Donald Trump, weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the FBI. We can't let this continue to go on because it's ripping our country to shreds. We have such big problems, and this shouldn't be one of them.
Reaction from, among others, GOP Congressman Matt Gaetz. He calls it a hoax, writing on Twitter, it's, in his words, an attempt to distract the American public from the millions of dollars in bribes that the Biden crime family received from foreign nationals. And Ohio Republican Congressman Jim Jordan calls this a sad day for America. Insisting that he is, his word, honest, President Biden denies allegations of involvement in a big-money bribery scheme with a foreign national.
At the end of a joint press conference with the visiting British Prime Minister, the president responded to a shouted question about Republican allegations that he sold out his country.
Where's the money? I'm joking.
Mr. President,
it's a bunch of malarkey.
GOP members of Congress are pointing to an FBI document they claim outlines an alleged criminal scheme when Mr. Biden was vice president. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Although it's not over yet, the weekend is expected to bring some relief across parts of the east, suffering bad air from hundreds of Canadian wildfires. Forecasters expect the weather patterns to begin to shift, clearing out at least some of the smoky haze. On Wall Street, Dow futures down 73 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I'm Corey, and this is my story. I was going through some financial troubles paying off my credit cards. I was paying high interest rates, and it just wasn't getting any better. And I knew I had to do something. So my mom told me about Trinity, and so I decided to call. Trinity was able to do something that I couldn't. I'm paying off my debt. I'm saving thousands, and things are really looking up. I promise you guys, you will not regret it when you called Trinity, because it was such a relief and less stress in my life, and it was the best thing I could have done for myself, because once I called Trinity, they took care of me, and I felt such a relief, a weight off my shoulders. Trinity was great to work with. They wanted to help me. I love it.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
I'm Corey, and I'm debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. A little warmer today, but humidity remains low. Another very nice day for June. Sunny skies up to 84. Tonight, mostly clear and dry. Lows in the upper 50s to low 60s. Humidity creeps up a little tomorrow. It's a warmer day, too, with a high of 88. Stray shower possible late Saturday, but rain chances really rocket up on Sunday with occasional rain and storms. Cooler with highs only in the 70s. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
You can win a district attorney election in most of the major metropolitan areas for under $1 million, and some for as little as $75,000.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
And so if you're a billionaire like George Soros, I think he's spent a total of now only $29 million in buying DA races around the country. Soros funded prosecutors. They find a way to use their political power to prosecute their political adversaries and to promote what they would call progressive social change.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Steph's Pizza is on the move to Lake St. Louis. That's right, you can now get the legendary Steph's Pizza and Pasta in Lake St. Louis, 111 Pond Fort Trail. Steph's Pizza, where Mondays you get a large pizza for the price of a small, and it just got more convenient for pickup or delivery in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peter's on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis at 111 Pond Fort Trail. Check them out at stephspizza.com. Tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me vent here.
Live and local.
Way to be, guys. 1019 all the way.
This is News Talk STL.
I am home.
Mike Ferguson.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
We have a hope.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
What do you call a genius in President Biden's Homeland Security Department? A visitor.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
It's Friday.
Okay, I know I said a little bit earlier, beginning of the show, that we're going to talk about this Tucker Carlson thing at 6:20. I'm calling an audible, guys. We're going to do that a little bit later, around 6:35, because at 6:20, we're going into this Donald Trump federal indictment down in Florida. We don't have a huge amount of details on it. We do have some. Donald Trump's lawyer, one of them, has listed out what charges that are going to be, I guess, unveiled on Tuesday officially. So we know what the charges are, but we're going to go into a lot more depth, including a lot of reaction to that from a lot of different people. It is 6:06 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here as well. Okay, so I'm keeping track of the comments on Rumble. So you got something to say about this or anything else we're talking about, go ahead and give me a call first and foremost, 314-912-1019, or you can comment there. Gabe and Stel are watching Facebook, and Gabe's watching Twitter as well. All right, let's go right to it. Got our good friend Paul Kurtman with us here. Of course, you can hear him every Saturday at noon right here on 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL. And Paul, like I said, I'm going to go into a deep dive on this at 6:20, but overnight, Donald Trump and his team announces that he is going to be facing federal indictment on multiple charges. I've read 7. I don't know what the exact number is, but somewhere in there. What's the initial reaction that you had when you heard Donald Trump now faces federal indictment, and this is separate from the thing in New York?
Well, I'm just really not surprised, honestly. I mean, I am surprised that it took this long, not necessarily because he needs to be indicted on anything, but just because the federal government, I mean, during his campaign in 2016, they were out to get him. The deep state, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, the FBI. I mean, all of this is public information now. It's stuff that we know. It's open source material at this point. I really don't know exactly how I feel about all of this, though. I'm kind of surprised that even though we know that there's been so many hoaxes pulled to try to bring down Donald Trump, that now we're still seeing that the federal government is trumping up charges or creating reasons to indict him. I mean, it's kind of like the government itself. Everybody Donald Trump talked about when he gave his inaugural address back in 2016, it's like all of those people are still just out to get him, and it's not going to stop. I think I've told you guys that I don't think they're going to stop until we see Donald Trump in an orange jumpsuit with his hands behind his back and handcuffs. I think that's what the left wants. I think it's what people want in the deep state, and I don't think they're going to stop until they get there. People have said, people have told me, no, that's crazy. That's never going to happen. But I'm telling you, you cannot attribute reasonable behavior to an unreasonable, lawless government. So I think that it's probably headed that direction. I don't think that they're going to stop until they get there. So I'm kind of surprised it took this long. And I'm also kind of surprised that they're still at it, both at the same time. It's kind of a contradiction in ideas, but I think you know where I'm coming from.
Right. Well, and the aspect of being surprised that maybe they're still at it, because we now know that there are all kinds of documents that were found in the possession of Joe Biden from his time post vice presidency and post Senate. And so do the people on the left, do the weaponized federal government, ABC, alphabet soup agencies out there, are they risking putting themselves in a position to where they're going to be forced to pursue something against Joe Biden? I mean, you can't do it while he's president, but are they going to be in a position to where they may have to go after one of their own at some point?
See, I don't think they're going to go after one of their own. I think that what we've seen happen here, and I think it's always kind of been this way to a certain degree, but it's been subtle, it's been low key. But now it's on mainstream television. It's on every headline in the newspaper. The government has become a political weapon for one party to wage war against the next, not just in terms of policy, which is what America by and large is used to. But now we see that whoever's in power, whichever direction this pendulum swings, you better be careful, because it's going to swing back with all the power and the weight of whoever is in charge. And it could be, guys, that we have entered a new phase of American history where from one party to the next, all they're trying to do is imprison their political opposition. This is dangerous territory for America, because we've gotten away from what the proper role of government is, and we have elected people who have just become obsessed and drunk with power. And that's what's primarily important for them. But we have moved into banana republic territory now, where it used to be said it's hard to find good people to run for office because you don't want to be slandered in a campaign. But now nobody's going to want to run for office, because if you're in the minority party, you know that your opposition is going to try to get you in prison. They're going to try to imprison you. And so this is the way we're at. I mean, the Republicans are doing it right now with Joe Biden, right? Because of classified documents, because of Burisma and all this other corruption that's out there. And whether it's right or wrong, we can see this clearly happening from one side to the next. Let's go after, let's file criminal charges. And I think that we've just entered a really dangerous territory for the U.S.
Good morning, Paul. Gabe here. You kind of mentioned it. The Republicans now are the ball's in their court. What do you do now that you have the investigatory power of the House and you're seeing exactly how the deep state is going to be responding to people on our side? What's the path forward here that doesn't continue to destroy the Republic?
Oh man, that is a deeply philosophical question. Not at all surprised that you're the one asking this question, but I'll tell you what, that America is going to get the government that it deserves, and I think that Alexis de Tocqueville said it best. Alexis de Tocqueville, for the listeners, he was a Frenchman who came over to America back in the early mid 1800s. He studied the country, this brand new country, and what he said was, America is great because America is good. And if America ever ceases to be good, America will cease to be great. But here's the clinchpin, guys. We're only a great country if we have great people. And so the problem has to do everything to do with the cultural decline of people in this country. When we have Supreme Court justices who won't even define what a woman is, that speaks to how far we have slipped in terms of our own cultural civilization, to put it in one regard. So the fact that we have people in America who we're just not as good as we used to be, guys. We're just not. Listen, as Americans, we are just not as good people as we used to be. I'll say what everybody already knows. We have all of our holidays, we have all of our monuments, we have all of these things in our past that speak to greatness, but the American people, by and large, as a group, we're just not as good of people as we used to be.
Hey, good morning, Paul. This is Stel. You touched on the Banana Republic side of things, and like people always say about comedy, it's all about the timing. And with the 2024 election kicking into gear, to me, the timing is obvious. They want to shut down any opposition. And now supposedly espionage is part of this legal issue. I don't see this at all. I don't see any legal standing. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I agree with both points that you're making about the legal standing, but also about the timing. I mean, as far as political campaigns go, everybody, In every election cycle, we always talk about the October surprise because we're not stupid. We might not be as good a people as we used to be, but we're certainly not as stupid as a whole. That's kind of hard to argue too. But I will say that in terms of us understanding that politicians come out with their October surprises, we know that it's all about timing. We know that they're trying to spin different narratives to take advantage of the news cycle just before the election. So I think that you're spot on in terms of timing. Stuff like this doesn't happen just by accident.
Hey, Paul, what's coming up on Paul Kerman's show on Saturday?
Oh, man. Well, I tell you what, I was trying to figure out exactly what I was going to talk about, and I think you guys just helped me put together the whole program right now. So I'm all fired up about how we're not as good as we used to be and our intellect and everything else. Maybe that's where we'll go. But it's going to be a good show. I'll be on with Ken Williams, and we're going to have a lot of fun, break down some of these cultural issues and some of these political issues for the folks. All right.
It's on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL this coming Saturday at noon. Hey, Paul, appreciate the insight. There's so much more economy and other stuff that we'll have to get to next week as well. But obviously, we know it's dominating the headlines over the next several days, especially as Donald Trump will appear in court, as scheduled at least, to appear in federal court in Miami on Tuesday.
Yeah, and thanks again for bringing me on, guys. Especially, I know sometimes we kind of go off the political stuff into the philosophical stuff, but I love it. I hope you guys have a great weekend.
All right, thanks, Paul. Talk to you again soon. All right, 314-912-1019. Okay, so we've got responses from around the political world regarding the indictment of Donald Trump, and I've got the list of the categories of charges that have been, I guess, indicted against Donald Trump, and these are according to his lawyer. So a lot of ground to cover here in about 3.5 minutes. Right now, let's do an information segment. You're going to hear from Donald Trump. You're going to hear from his lawyer. You're going to hear from some of his opponents on both sides of the political aisle. But more importantly, let me know what you think. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin Rob. Get up, what are you waiting for?
News, analysis, opinion.
Our great American comeback starts by sending Joe Biden back to his basement in Delaware.
This is News Talk STL.
You could take the 5 worst presidents, they would not have done the damage Joe Biden has done.
12 million new jobs, more jobs in 2 years than any president created in a 4-year term.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL and newstalkstl.com.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
You ever go by a house and you see a window that's cracked because, I don't know, wind blew too hard and it just couldn't handle that anymore, or maybe the ground shifted a little bit and it's just a cheap window and it cracks, or, you know what, a rock goes up there, a bird flies into it, or I don't know, a federal indictment is thrown at you recklessly and then it hits the window and cracks it. And these things could happen to anybody, right? Well, if you have a Window World window, you are protected from all of that. Maybe not the federal indictments, but give them a call, 314-993-1800. Mike Ferguson here for Window World. They are simply the best for less. I'm emphasizing for less, but I also want to emphasize the best. We're talking about double strength glass windows. I've got actually driven by a neighbor's house, and they actually had a crack. Now, they fixed it since then. I don't know what kind of window they did, but that basic stuff can happen. And, of course, that puts the structure of your home at risk because you've got that weakness right there. It definitely makes your home less energy efficient. And, of course, you can let everything from bugs in and humidity and everything else. So Window World guarantees their windows will not crack or break. And if they do, you've got a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, covers all the glass breakage and labor. They don't get those calls very often because those windows are so good. Over 70,000 homes in St. Louis have Window World windows. You should let them show you what they can do for you. I know you're tempted to say, yeah, I got to replace the windows. Let me just go to the little home improvement store and just get the generic stuff off the shelf. I just can't afford good windows. Yeah, you can. Window World windows may save you money right up front because they're the best for less and maybe less expensive, even though they are custom and double strength. But then also they're making your home more energy efficient as well, so you're saving money during the lifetime of your home. And then again, that lifetime warranty, so if anything ever goes wrong, even if it is a massive storm that does it, they will take care of it. They're really proud. I mean, I'm telling you, my friends at Window World are really proud of their follow-up and customer service and making things right. They love all those positive reviews and their ratings on the Better Business Bureau and Yelp, and they're very proud of it. And besides, they've got 18 months same as cash financing with approved credit. Window World is the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. You can learn more at windowworld.com, but the best thing to do is get your free in-home estimate. Call them today, 314-993-1800. That goes right to their offices in Earth City. One more time, Window World, simply the best for less, 314-993-1800. 1800.
Hey folks, Tim Jones here, excited to tell you about one of our newest clients. I've been a customer of them for years, Professional Irrigation Systems. If you're tired of dragging hoses around your yard to keep your grass alive every summer, now's the time to make your life easier. Residential irrigation installs in one day, custom designed for your property. They will enhance your curb appeal. They've also got landscape lightings, makes the architecture of your home stand out, making all your neighbors envious. Fertilization packages as well for all your lawn care needs and great financing options. ProIrrigation.com, 636-692-4441, proirrigation.com.
Stories of New Americans.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me this weekend for Stories of New Americans, where you'll hear fascinating and inspirational personal stories of people from all over the globe who now call St. Louis home. We'll take a look at the U.S. through newcomers' eyes and get insight into world history and culture, and maybe just learn a little bit more about ourselves.
Stories of New Americans with Ron Clutho. Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
Hello and welcome. From all of us at the Indoor Comfort Team, we want to help earn your trust and make your life, well, more comfortable. The Indoor Comfort Team has helped thousands of people deal with the common concerns of heating, cooling, hot water heaters. We've been doing this since 1979, and we're still only a call away. Whenever you need us, the Indoor Comfort Team. Comfort you can trust.
Call 314-894-8200 or visit indoorcomfortteam.com.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point.
On Wednesday, I watched a House Intelligence hearing remarkable primarily for how calm and cordial it was. It stood in stark contrast to most of the hearings we've seen of late, though undoubtedly there are plenty of routine, non-fireworks producing hearings. Those just don't grab our attention. It isn't that the fireworks are unwarranted, though, particularly when it comes to the Weaponization Subcommittee, whose purpose is to investigate alleged abuses of governmental authority. Before their May hearing, Wyoming Congresswoman Harriet Hageman, referring to the FBI, ominously observed that the eye of Sauron has been turned on the American people, and it is a frightening time in which we live. I wish I could just write that off as hyperbole, but given what we've learned about the agency's focus and tactics in recent years, I don't think it's that far off the mark. And yet, while we've had to establish a congressional subcommittee to police the policers, a recent Cato Institute study found an alarmingly large number of young people favor the government installing surveillance cameras in every household in order to reduce domestic violence, abuse, and other illegal activity. 3 in 10 Americans under 30 support the idea of an omnipresent government surveillance, not just in public, but in their homes, in everyone's homes. It's mighty difficult to push back on the weaponization of a government to whom far too many seem only too willing to hand over the entire armory.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL.
Okay, guys, stop me if you've heard this one before. Donald Trump has been indicted.
Oh, yeah. I've seen this movie.
Yeah. Okay, by the way, did Tucker Carlson bring on some legal trouble with his new Twitter show? Interesting question here. I will update you on that at 6:35. Okay, let me just put this out there. The phone number here is 314-912-1019. I mentioned that I've got the Rumble chat box up, but I'm going to be playing, sound bites and reaction from a lot of different people, so I'm not going to see your Rumble comments as quickly as I normally do. So the best way to get involved in this is to just give us a call, 314-912-1019. Okay, so these indictments are apparently related to that raid on Mar-a-Lago months ago. Donald Trump now faces a federal indictment over the documents that were at his home in Florida. That is what his lawyers are telling media, and I'll get to the categories of charges in just a moment. Of course, Donald Trump is the one who announced this and let everybody know that he's been indicted, and he made, I would say, not a hugely lengthy, but a few minutes long response on his Truth Social last night. Here's part of that.
I'm an innocent man. We will prove that again. 7 years of proving it, and here we go again. Very unfair, but that's the way it is.
Okay, so according to one of his lawyers, whose name is Jim Trusty, the charges include 1 count of violating the Espionage Act, several charges of obstruction, multiple, I don't know how many, false statements charges, and apparently 1 conspiracy charge. And we don't have the details yet because these indictments have not been unsealed, but that is according to Donald Trump's lawyer, Jim Trusty, who was on the Ingram angle with on Fox News last night. And here is what he had to say about the charges, basically accusing him of having classified documents or even declassified documents that he should not have had, is basically what's being argued in this case. Here's Jim Trusty on Fox.
There's absolutely no intent there. There's nothing to make sense. In fact, you can't even obstruct a non-crime as a starting principle. So when you have the Presidential Record Act defense, when you have declassification as a defense, then there's really nothing. I mean, he could have had a party throwing stuff in a bonfire and it wouldn't be obstruction.
All right, guys, around the room real quick, your gut reaction here.
Well, I mean, I think the Republic's pretty much on life support and the Democrats are holding a knife.
I think it's all insanity. And I'm just going to leave it at that. It doesn't have any legal issues. I've been following this since last August when Mike Davis with Article 3 did a deep dive into this whole thing, and he said there's no legal standing for them to come after him because he has the option to declassify anything as president. Vice President Biden could not. Biden, when he was vice president, couldn't. So I'm just saying, Trump was president. He had the right to do what he did.
Does he have the right to take them with him, though?
I believe he does. Mike Davis says yes.
Okay. Let's go to some of the other reaction. 2024 presidential candidate Senator Tim Scott was on Fox News tonight with Harris Faulkner to react to the news of this indictment of Donald Trump. Here's what he had to say in part.
We look at every single case based on the evidence. And in America, every single person is presumed innocent, not guilty. And what we've seen over the last several years is the weaponization of the Department of Justice against the former president.
Okay, let's then go to a couple other reactions. Then, guys, I want to get your responses to that. Statement that was posted on Twitter by Ron DeSantis. He says, the weaponization of federal law enforcement represents a mortal threat to a free society. We have for years witnessed an uneven application of the law depending on political affiliation. Why so zealous in pursuing Trump, yet so passive about Hillary or Hunter? The DeSantis administration will bring accountability to the DOJ, excise political bias, and end weaponization once and for all. Couple clips here from Vivek Ramaswamy. Here's the first one. He did this, kind of looks like he was on the road somewhere, so there's a little bit of background noise, but I think you can hear what he's got to say. So 2 clips from him.
I never thought we'd see the day when a party in power, a U.S. president, has a Department of Justice under him that arrests his lead rival during an election, in the middle of an election. Yet here we are. We have two standards of justice.
Okay, so we're running out of time before we get to the next information segment, so I'll save the next one for later. Guys, reactions then from Vivek Ramaswamy, from Tim Scott, from Ron DeSantis so far, and I've got some others.
As far as I can see, the top tier candidates have expressed, I'll say, the right opinions on this. They've come at it very strong against the weaponization of things. And then I did see a reaction by Asa Hutchinson, who's I think he's he made his anti-Trump stance pretty clear. He's just like, I wanted the guy to go to jail, basically.
I agree with Gabe.
Okay. All right. Here's a statement from Chris Christie. He just posted it. He said, "We don't get our news from Trump's True Social account. Let's see what the facts are when any possible indictment is released. As I have said before, no one is above the law, no matter how much they wish they were. We will have more to say when the facts are revealed." Reactions?
I mean,
that the words themselves are not inaccurate.
Right. He's walking the line, I think.
Yeah.
He's trying to balance things, but it's hard to lodge that defense given the context that we're living in right now with what's going on with the Democrats and what we've already seen with how they go after Trump.
Once again, I agree with Abe.
Okay, Larry Elder was on Fox News at Night last night. Here's what he had to say.
If the Trump family had done one fraction of what the Biden family is accused of doing, they'd be marching on Washington. It's just such an outrageous thing.
Okay, statement from Cori Bush. This one's going to be a doozy, guys.
Oh, Cori Bush. Okay.
Oh, ready here?
I'm sure it's great.
Oh, yeah. I'm quoting now. I'm quoting. I'm reading her words.
Okay. Yes. This is not.
Put that stuff down. You're about to throw it.
Not Mike.
Cori Bush says the former white supremacist in chief has been indicted on federal charges. He must be held accountable.
Okay. Everything she said was wrong.
That's why I moved out of the city.
Yeah.
My goodness.
And she's an effing idiot.
Absolutely.
I mean, she's truly an evil human being.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think
even
so.
if you don't like Donald Trump, she's an evil human being. I mean, there are people on the left that I disagree with on everything, and I don't think that they are. I don't think they're evil.
Yeah, they're coming at it good faith or on some level.
Or
right?
they're just dumb.
Or they're just dumb. Yeah.
ill-informed.
They
or
can't help it.
They have bad philosophy.
Sure.
She's evil. She's just an evil. I am demonizing one of my opponents on the end.
Sometimes you got to call a demon a demon.
Yeah. All right. Josh Hawley is quoted as saying, Joe Biden has used his Justice Department to go after parents as domestic terrorists, to spy on Catholic parishes, to terrorize and harass pro-life Christians, and tonight to indict his top political opponent, Trump. He has trampled the rule of law to benefit himself. He has led the country into profound danger.
Profound danger is actually what the top concern on my mind about what's going on right now.
Once again, I agree with Gabe.
Now, see, I know we're a little heavy here, but that's interesting because what I'm hearing from you isn't as much, you're angry about Donald Trump being targeted. You're worried about where is the country going from this. I'm not saying that both can't happen at the same time.
Right, but that's my emphasis.
That jumps out to me. Expand on that just for a second.
Well, absolutely, because the thing is, even if it's just a perception, if there is a perception that half of the country, at least half of the country, is afraid of the misapplication of the law against them simply for their political beliefs, that country is not long for this earth.
I agree.
I'm hitting on all cylinders for Stel today.
You really are.
There it is. All right, 314-912-1019. I mean, here's what the political reality of it is, that pretty much everybody's made up their mind.
Sure.
Whether they think Donald Trump is guilty or innocent. If you are a Republican, you're a conservative, you're part of MAGA, you have already decided he's innocent. If you are on the left, you're a Democrat, you're a Biden supporter, you've decided that he's guilty, and we haven't seen the charges yet. So everybody's made up their mind on this. Here's one of the things, in addition to what you just said, Gabe, and all the weaponization talk on this, here's one of the other things I'm worried about is that our politics will result in more regular, and it'll become normal for us to have violence in this country over politics. And this is the type of thing that fuels that fire. And this is the stuff that I'm worried about our country regressing into or moving into. We've had political violence in the past. We've had it as recently as 2002 or 2020 and 2021 and even 2022 in some areas, but I'm worried about this becoming more widespread, and a lot of it is because of the abuse of government, the weaponization of government over political differences and targeting political opponents. All right, 314-912-1019. Got some thoughts on that. Let's hear it. Also, Tucker Carlson How long is his show going to last on Twitter?
That's a good question.
Fox News not happy about this. I'll tell you what's going on with that. Just ahead, right around 6:36 on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. A little warmer today, but humidity remains low. Another very nice day for June. Sunny skies up to 84. Tonight, mostly clear and dry. Lows in the upper 50s to low 60s. Humidity creeps up a little tomorrow. It's a warmer day, too, with a high of 88. Stray shower possible late Saturday, but rain chances really rocket up on Sunday with occasional rain and storms. Cooler with highs only in the 70s. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
You should never strive to be happy because that's very elusive. What you should strive for is joy. And there's a difference. Joy is when you can have contentment in some really screwed up situations, or you can have it when things are going great. That's what you should always seek in life, is joy. Happiness is determined by circumstances.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. That's 800-432-8150.
Larry Connors, USA.
And I'm against it. I'll fight it every step of the way, and so should you. And the parents who send their kids to this private school, we need to have a come to Jesus meeting.
Larry Connors, weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Mark McCloskey. Check out my show, Mark McCloskey on Fire, Sunday afternoon at 5 here on News Talk STL. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, yes, we're going to come back to the Donald Trump indictment throughout the morning as we get updates through this. You're going to have plenty of time to get your voice in on this as well. 6:37 right now. I'm Mike. That's Gabe. That is Stell. All right, 6:50. Gabe, I was telling Stell a little bit ago that I don't remember the last time a local news story made me so angry.
Oh, really?
And in St. Louis County, there is a city that is stealing people's cars.
The city is stealing
the
people's cars?
city is going onto private property and hauling off cars.
Now, we're not talking about repo
No,
situations or anything like that.
no. We're talking about they are using an official governmental process, and it all has to do with temp tags.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, really?
It's bizarre, and it infuriated me.
Okay.
So as much as we joke about the temp tag thing,
Yeah.
this is what happens when it goes too far.
Yeah.
And you go to government and say, just do something. Because if they don't regulate and moderate what they do, you get this. And it sounds to me like it's just full on corrupt, but we'll talk about that. All right. Don't forget Randy Tobler, Saturday from 6 to 9 a.m. on Saturday. You know he's talking about the updates on the Donald Trump indictments. And he's that's a show that's like no other, and it's live from 6 to 9, and he would love to talk to you as well.
Doctor will be in.
Okay, so after over 100 million views, 100 million views
What?
of the first episode of his Twitter show, could Tucker Carlson be silenced by Fox News?
I saw that there
Yeah.
was something coming down about this.
How about
Yeah.
the second one from yesterday? Have you
Did
checked
he
on
drop
that?
a second one?
He did.
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's coming.
I
It's
didn't even know that.
It's coming, making rounds. Yeah, I got to double check where it's what it's. sitting
Okay,
at.
can you do that? What?
Yeah.
It was titled "Cling to Your Taboos."
Yes.
Jeez.
It kind of. So, well, I've got a Tucker fan in my my regular feed, so they share this stuff for me.
I didn't even, until right now. I did not know that.
Well, it was 13 hours ago that it dropped. So, that's
it
about,
was 5 in the afternoon.
5 in the afternoon. or
Okay,
so.
which
Currently sitting at 32 mil.
when a guy gets up at 2 in the morning, by 5 or 5:30, that's
You're
time
you're
for
out.
me.
That's steepy time.
What I was doing at 5:30 is I was hanging the party lights around the patio that Rachel bought, because we bought a bunch of stuff. So that's what I was doing instead of watching Tucker. Okay.
Okay.
But here's where we're at. Fox is complaining that Tucker Carlson's new show on Twitter breaches his contract. So let me give you the kind of the wonky details on this. So we talk about Tucker Carlson being fired, right?
Right.
Technically, it doesn't look like he was fired. They just canceled the show and took it off the air, but he still has a contract. And according to Fox News, and this was reported by Axios for the first reporting, they say that all of his services till the end of the contract are to be for Fox News exclusively, because he's still getting paid his contract.
Oh, okay. So they're paying his contract.
Right.
They're just not
they're
allowing him on
right.
the air.
They're saying that they severed and went separate. Now, even if they say they're not paying anymore, they didn't buy him out, because that's what we're waiting to find out. They still typically in those contracts say, as what we would call a non-compete.
Yeah.
That until the end of that contract, anything that he does is supposed to be for Fox News. Now, if they're not paying the contract out, my understanding is that they've just taken him off the air, and said basically, you don't have an office here anymore. You can go home. And so that's the case where Fox is arguing that the Twitter show counts as a broadcast show, and therefore is in competition with them. And they've sent basically the first, hey, don't make us send a cease and desist, don't make us sue you.
It's the pre-cease and desist.
That sort of thing. Tucker Carlson's lawyers are saying that restricts his First Amendment rights, and that they're breaching the contract, because part of the contract said that they would try to settle lawsuits in a way that doesn't disparage him, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's all kinds of working parts in there. But the bottom line is, Fox says you can't be on our channel, but we don't want you even doing your own shows on there. Thoughts? I mean, Twitter, social media, whatever.
It creates an interesting conundrum, because
Right.
I mean, it's kind of like as you were describing it, just so people can kind of get the gist here. It's like benching a player that you keep on contract.
Yes.
You're still paying them, but they're not allowed to play. Now, and conceivably, they're not allowed to play for any other team.
Right.
However, I don't think Tucker's directly getting paid by Twitter. He's just using his
account,
his Twitter account.
I mean, I'm sure it's monetized
to talk about it. I mean, yes. I mean, but that's easy to do, and that can happen to any individual who expresses their First Amendment right and through social media. So it creates a sort of an interesting conundrum. It's like where does First Amendment end, and I guess a job that include speaking begin.
Yeah. So according to Axios, who, like I said, broke the story, all of this is important to the story because it sets Fox News up to explore legal action against Carlson if he continues to release shows. So they could sue him. In a statement to Axios, the lawyers for Tucker Carlson said any legal action, like I said, would violate his First Amendment rights. And they say, and I'm quoting here, Fox defends its very existence on freedom of speech grounds. Now they want to take Tucker Carlson's right to speak freely away from him because he took to social media to share his thoughts on current events. And that's from attorney by the name of Brian Friedman. And all this comes 2 months after Carlson. Now, this report is saying Carlson was fired from Fox News after the network settled the Dominion voting systems lawsuit for $780 million. So they're saying he was fired. He's not an employee. They're restricting his right to free speech. So let's assume, just for the sake of discussion, guys, that he's fired. He's no longer an employee.
So the contract is null.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
That's
though,
a good point. Yeah,
because I've had those contracts.
That's true. There are usually a section about what severance looks like, right?
Well, not even just severance. There could be severance, but it's the no compete part of a contract.
Sure.
Saying that for X number of months or even years after either quitting or being fired, you cannot do this.
Right.
And I've had contracts in the past at other stations that have said, if you leave here for any reason, you cannot be on the air in this market for X number of months.
Right.
Typically for local radio, that's going to be about 6 months. I've seen it go up to 2 years, if depending on your situation. So essentially, let's assume for the sake of argument that this report is correct and Tucker Carlson is no longer an employee of Fox News.
Right.
He's just a guy out there who produces his own show and he puts it on Twitter. They're arguing that, wait a minute, that's a broadcast product. That is in competition with us. Therefore, that contract says until this time, all services must be rendered for Fox News. At least we have the right of first refusal. And they're saying we could sue if you continue to put these shows out there.
So if we're talking like a professional basketball player, he's been benched, or actually he's been fired,
or he's been let
go. Been let go, and maybe he even does have a non-compete for you can't go to the ABA or the European or something like that. But he goes and he plays rec league ball, and they
interesting,
and they sell they sell so much concessions out of there. They say, you know what, we're going to give you a cut of the concessions because you're drawing so many people. That's pretty much what Twitter is. I mean, it's like, I'm playing for free, but you're selling stuff in the meantime because so many people want to see me play that you're making money hand over fist and you want to keep me doing it, so you give me a cut. That's kind of how social media stuff works right now. I'm not sure if that counts the same way as I'm going to pay you X number of dollars to be on our air at a specific time.
I would have thought, to be honest with you, that Tucker's lawyers would have already discussed and come to a conclusion on a lot of this stuff before allowing him to go on to Twitter, doing his 10-minute things, maybe going on and making a few comments here and there, but to do a 10 to 15-minute show, quote unquote, on Twitter, I would have thought they would have cautioned him or said, no, don't do it, or yes, it's okay, you can do it.
How about another mental exercise? For the sake of argument, and I don't know
Sure.
if this is true or not, let's say that Fox News, their interpretation of the contract is correct. I don't know if it is, but let's just say that it is.
That this amounts to a broadcast competition kind of thing.
And they are able to shut Tucker Carlson down until 2025. How does that go over with their viewership base?
Oh, man.
They think they've lost a lot of viewers now. They're going to turn into CNN.
That's a good point, because I think a lot of the viewers who are still with them, they like some of the other shows. They're Tucker supporters, but they like some of the other shows, so they don't want to give those up. But that may end up being the last straw. It's like, you know what, these guys aren't even serious. They don't like Tucker, so they probably don't like me. and they're just using me for my money. That's kind of how we view our products now. You know, it's like the way you treat the people we like, the way you treat the people we don't like, also reflects as how we perceive your attitude towards us, and we don't want to give you money if it's like that.
So they're going to the Target School of Marketing.
Target School of Marketing, the Bud Light process for buyer destruction.
Okay, so here's where we're going for the next little bit on the program. Okay, I'm going to tell you what's coming next, like 2-3 segments. Okay, just ahead here, a local government in the St. Louis area, and I don't care where you are in the country, beware of governments who think they have this kind of power. This pissed me off so much when I read this story. I'll tell you what it is. Love to get your thoughts on that. At 7:05, our friends from Landmark Legal Foundation. Remember there's this whole scandal with Joe Biden and whether or not he was bribed and his whole family's business? Well, the FBI doesn't want to turn over the documents that some Congress members say shows that. So there's this battle between the FBI that says, we're immune to your subpoenas. House of Representatives saying, no, you're not. So we're going to talk to Mike O'Neill from Landmark Legal about that in the Biden situation at 7:05. And then 7:20, I've got an update on the indictments against Donald Trump. You know, just a typical light Friday, right? 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for the cleaning pros at Zero Res. The team at Zero Res has rescued our home many times over the years, and right now they have an amazing summer offer you don't want to miss. Book a cleaning now for your home or business, and you'll get 20% off all services. Just mention the Colombo special, and whether it's carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, or air ducts, you'll get their best in the business cleaning for 20% off. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forwards or backwards, it spells the same, Zero Res.
Home is where the heart is, but it's also where the money is too. If you want to make the most of your home, whether you're buying, selling, or staying put, tune into HomeWise, the financial talk show that gives you the real deal on home ownership. HomeWise tells you the secrets that banks, realtors, and contractors don't want you to know, and shows you how to save thousands of dollars on your mortgage, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. HomeWise, how to get the most out of every dollar you put into your home. Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FREE. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
My point about the governor there, it is absolutely about power.
I read this, I almost fell out of my chair.
News Talk STL.
This thing is just absolutely dripping with iron.
News, analysis, opinion. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey everybody, it's Paul Kurtman. Make sure you join me every Saturday from 12 to 1 here on News Talk STL for the Paul Kurtman Show. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
Okay, so one of the big themes that we're talking about here basically is the power of government. And don't think just for a minute the power of government isn't abused just in Washington, D.C. It happens at the local level as well. Corruption happens at the local level as well. So that's what we're talking about right now. And I don't care where you live. This could happen anywhere. At 7:05, okay, Mike O'Neill from the Landmark Legal Foundation is going to be joining us. Don't forget that the Republicans in the U.S. House are investigating Joe Biden's business dealing, arguing, there is bribery involved. There's all kinds of corruption involved, going back to the time he was vice president. And the FBI says that they have documents. They first of all, they said the document didn't exist. And then they said, well, it exists, but we're not giving it to you. And then they said, okay, fine. The chairman and the minority leader of that committee, you can go look at it, but you can't take a picture of it. You can't take it with you.
Right.
And so they're threatened with contempt of Congress. And then they said, okay, fine, let's talk.
Oh my gosh. That timeline right there should tell you everything you need to know.
So we're going to talk to Mike O'Neill about that from Landmark Legal Foundation at 7:05. And then 7:20, I've got the update on the indictment against Donald Trump. And I know you've got thoughts on this. You got plenty of time. Give me your thoughts on Rumble or in our Facebook comments, or you give us a call 314-912-1019. Okay, there are like 80-some, almost 90 municipalities in the St. Louis area. So in St. Louis County, there's one, and I've lived here for years, and I am ashamed to say I'm not familiar with Calverton Park, which is a small municipality in St. Louis County.
Yeah, I'm aware of them existing. I'm not sure I've.
You're one step ahead of me.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fox 2 did a really good job with this story, and I don't say that often about the local TV stations here. And so here's what's happened. You know the big push to get those temp tags that are expired off the roadways. Do something, government. Do something, government.
Right.
And so here's what they have been doing since late 2020. So really about, 2.5 years now, because here we are in June. So December of 2020 till now, what they've been doing is if you've got an expired temp tag, you get some warning letter from City Hall.
Okay.
Which, by the way, that's a state issue. That's a state licensing issue. That is not a city issue.
It's not.
Because they passed an ordinance saying you can't have expired tags, vehicles with expired tags on your property.
Wait, what?
Right. Oh, it gets worse. They have then, after sending these warnings, they've sent like 300 and some of them. They have sent out tow trucks to go onto people's private property, and they have stolen over 80 vehicles since December of 2020.
Okay, oh my gosh, that's absolute corruption.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, so go to Channel 2's website, or maybe, Gabe, we can put that up on our social media as well. So, and now let me read from Fox 2's story. Fox 2 uncovered an administrative search warrant signed by a Calverton Park judge on May 22nd. It allowed the city to tow and impound, and they're talking about one specific case, a woman named Christina Reese, impound her car because her temporary tags expired 2 months prior.
Okay, so they went after one.
Right.
I mean, even on top of everything, they went after the lady with the 2-month-old temp
tags. But let's think about this for a second here. The government said you didn't pay your taxes on this piece of property. We are going onto your property and taking that away.
Yeah, that's the operative here.
If you buy something worth X number of dollars on Facebook Marketplace, you're supposed to pay taxes on some of that stuff. Technically, nobody does.
No.
Does that mean that if they get wind of that, they're going to break into your house and steal something valuable from inside? So literally government going onto your property. And they're talking about impounding it. And by the way, they charge $300 and some odd with what they call an abatement fee. So this is a money-making thing for Calverton Park.
That's where it is.
Somebody justify any aspect of this to me for a local government to go onto private property, take your property, and because you didn't pay the state the taxes to get your tags done?
See, it goes back to the law itself. To me, is you can't regulate what sort of licensure I need for things that exist on my property. I mean, that's usually where the boundary is, right? You know, you can require that a young person needs a license to operate a vehicle unless they're operating the vehicle exclusively on your property, right? That's how you teach your 12-year-old to drive the truck. You go from one side of the farm to the other side. You know, all of that stuff used to be the thing, but these people are saying, no, you can't have X, Y, and Z type of property on your or goods on your property, and I can come and take it?
So in this particular case, the lady involved has been without her car for 2 weeks because she didn't have the money. She owes the tow yard $1,000.
Oh my gosh!
In addition to the state taxes for the car, which you got to pay that no matter what, and a $336 abatement fee issued by Calverton Park. Let me tell you something. You try to tow my vehicle off on there, you're lucky if you're only met with a baseball bat. That's theft. That's grand theft auto done by a city government right here in St. Louis.
The flow of information.
This week on News Talk STL.
Take a look at what's going on.
To get to the bottom.
News, analysis, opinion.
We have had multiple conversations with the Ukrainians about the risk of escalation here.
That laptop was real. Every major news outlet and Facebook and Twitter refused to allow it to be disseminated or discussed.
101.9 and 94.1.
There's a lot in this bill that's very good. There's some that's not so good, but it is a compromise.
News Talk STL.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason.
It's election interference at the highest level.
Former President Trump proclaiming his innocence after being indicted on federal charges of mishandling sensitive documents.
The former president said he did nothing wrong in the handling of classified documents at his Florida home.
I'm an innocent man. We will prove that again.
In a video released after announcing his indictment, Trump said the federal indictment is a case of political warfare.
The whole thing is a hoax, just like Russia, just like the fake dossier was a hoax.
He said he's being summoned to a federal courthouse in Miami on Tuesday. Greg Clugston, Washington.
President Biden denies allegations of accepting $5 million from a foreign national. Biden allegedly implicated in a political bribery pay-to-play scheme in a document that's being held under wraps by the FBI. President calls the allegations a, quote, bunch of malarkey and declares himself to be honest. Thousands thought to be trapped by floodwaters that spread across a region of Ukraine following a catastrophic dam collapse.
Help has been slow in coming to Aleshkai, a Russian-occupied town along the Dnieper River, according to those stranded and their desperate Ukrainian rescuers. Officials say more than 6,000 people have been evacuated from dozens of inundated cities, towns and villages on both sides of the river. But the true scale of the disaster remains unclear for a region that was once home to tens of thousands of people. Certainly over a dozen people have died in the flooding, while many are homeless and tens of thousands are without drinking water. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
A Russian regional governor says 3 people suffered minor injuries. A drone slammed into a residential building in a city in southwestern Russia near the border with Ukraine. Wall Street Dow futures down 57. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
My name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. You can protect your hard-earned retirement assets with a tax-free loophole that allows you to convert your retirement into physical gold and silver. Advantage Gold is the nation's highest-rated gold company. They have the best process, pricing, and service. If you want to get your free gold and silver investment kit, please contact Advantage Gold right now. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
Bible.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. A little warmer today, but humidity remains low. Another very nice day for June. Sunny skies up to 84. Tonight, mostly clear and dry. Lows in the upper 50s to low 60s. Humidity creeps up a little tomorrow. It's a warmer day, too, with a high of 88. Stray shower possible late Saturday, but rain chances really rocket up on Sunday with occasional rain and storms. Cooler with highs only in the 70s. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Do you live in St. Charles County? Then you can get Mid-Rivers News Magazine delivered free to your home just by asking for it. Mid-Rivers News Magazine is the only print source for the political, school, business, and sports news happening in your hometown. Simply visit midriversnewsmagazine.com/subscribe to get a copy delivered to your mailbox. Or you can pick up a free copy at all area Deerbergs and Schnuck stores. Mid-Rivers News Magazine. Anybody who wants it gets it. Anybody who gets it wants it. Subscribe for free today.
iHelp is the immigrant home English learning program here in St. Louis that helps empower immigrant families by providing individualized, in-home English language education and tools for the effective navigation of our community. iHelp connects volunteer teachers with adult immigrant and refugee learners in our community to develop English and life skills. To learn more or to volunteer as a tutor, visit ihelpstl.org. That's ihelpstl.org.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, House Republicans want that document about Joe Biden's business dealings, and the FBI has it.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been wanting to hold it back from the committee. Are they going to have to give in and give it to them? We'll talk about that in just a minute. And, of course, you've heard the news. Donald Trump has been indicted again. I've got the update for you at 7:20. We're going to do a deep dive into it at 7:20, okay?
All right, 7:20.
314-912-1019. Not just what we know, some of the reaction already to this indictment, but most important is yours. So whether this has got you elated because you don't like Donald Trump, whether it's got you furious because you do like Donald Trump, or whether you've just got thoughts on the use of the Federal Department of Justice for this, we've got a lot to talk about starting at 7:20. So gear up, and we're going to do that in just a little bit. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. And now I'm joined by Mike O'Neill from our friends at the Landmark Legal Foundation. Let's talk a little bit about, because with all the headlines, this Biden corruption scandal is kind of getting pushed to the side here. And Mike, let me get your reaction to this statement from Congressman James Comer, of course, House Oversight Committee chairman. He was on Hannity last night after viewing the FBI's the document that the FBI has that Comer and others say showed Joe Biden taking bribes from foreign nationals in China, Romania, Ukraine while he was vice president. So here's what he had to say to Sean Hannity.
The payor of these bribes bragged that the way Biden wanted the money distributed, it would be through so many banks that it would take investigators 10 years to track the money. And I can tell you, Sean, it's taken us a long time to track the money, but we are tracking the money.
Okay, let's go back just a little bit, Mike. And the FBI has so far said, no, we don't have a document like that. Okay, we do have a document, but you can't see it. Okay, fine. You can come to our office and look at it, but we're not going to respond to the subpoena with it. And okay, we'll be redacted. And James Comer says that's contempt of Congress. And now the FBI, as I understand it, is saying, okay, fine, let's talk. What's the status of this first? And then we'll get into who's right and who's wrong and why it matters. That's the most important part.
Right. Well, Congress was flexing its muscles. I mean, again, we have three equal branches of government in this country. I mean, in light of what happened last night, we can get into that a little bit more. We don't, that question is one to be made. But Congress is flexing its muscles here. And it's important to understand that Congress does have some power here, right? They have the power to issue contempt proceedings. They have the power to hold the director of the FBI in contempt. They have the power, ultimately, what power do they have? They have the power of the purse, which is probably the strongest power that our founders vested within the Congress, and they can withhold funds. And I think that you really need to consider everything on the table now when you have this weaponized Department of Justice, when you have this weaponized Federal Bureau of Investigation that is clearly has an agenda to attack Republicans, to attack conservatives, to use its full powers to protect the current president of the United States, in glaring contrast to what's going on with former President Trump. And I think it's time for Congress to actually flex its muscles and use every power at its advantage to hold these federal officials, these bureaucrats who are empowered by the deep state, hold them accountable. And so what happened here ultimately was Congress threatened to hold the director of the FBI in contempt unless there was access provided to these records. Well, ultimately, as you saw when Congress is going to assert its power, you saw that the FBI did comply and did allow access, unlimited access, but bipartisan access, allowed Representative Comer and allowed Representative Raskin, who is a Democrat sitting on the committee, the equal access to these records. And you heard from Representative Comer exactly what they saw. Now, I think what's clear here is this calls for a special counsel investigation. Unlike the special counsel investigation that's occurring under the Department of Justice for President Trump, a special counsel investigation is an individual who is separate and apart from the party in power, who is investigating the party in power. In other words, a Democrat appoints a special counsel who is outside of the Department of Justice to investigate the Department of Justice, to investigate the FBI, to investigate the President of the United States. That is the purpose of a special counsel. The purpose of a special counsel isn't to investigate the former president, it's to investigate the current president here. And what do we see? We need the special counsel to investigate these connections that President Biden has currently and had going on in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine, to unravel this ridiculous, incredibly complex money scheme that has resulted in the president of the United States and his family becoming incredibly wealthy.
Good morning, Mike. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So it sounds like, and by all accounts, as best I can tell, that the Biden administration or the Biden family has a lot of corruption. I mean, we don't have the smoking gun, but there's a lot of smoke. Do you think this actually gets to the point of impeachment, or does this continue to slow walk and we don't really find out about any of this stuff until 2067?
I don't think. Look, we have an utterly and contemptuous media that is playing on the Democrats' playbook, that is in the back pocket of the Democrats. The only people that are talking about this stuff are conservative radio, conservative news outlets. I don't know if there's going to be enough if the Democrats are going to have enough political cover. I think that they're going to be able to, because of the media, because of the fact that they control the nodes of power here. I'm skeptical about the fact that there's ever going to be any kind of accountability for President Biden right now. I mean, perhaps if there is greater majorities in Congress, perhaps if additional investigations can begin to uncover this stuff. But again, you're always going to contrast the allegations with the Biden family, right? With the nonsense that we heard last night, the process crimes, quote unquote, that are the subject of former President Trump's indictment. And one doesn't hold a candle to the other here. And look, Gabe and Mike, there's a concept here: equal justice under the law. This is one of the precepts of our country, right? We believe that justice is blind. We have the statues in front of the courthouses with Lady Justice with the
blindfold,
the thing over her eyes, just blindfold over her eyes, exactly. And justice is blind. Well, is justice blind? They look at President Trump, every single minute detail of his life, from the moment he came down that escalator in 2015 or whatever, when he declared that he was president. Every single tiniest little detail they looked at it. They are charged. They had to use the Espionage Act to indict supposedly to indict President Trump. The Presidential Records Act isn't going to be applicable because he's president, so they had to circumvent the Presidential Records Act, use a criminal statute, because ultimately what he was doing, he was holding records at Mar-a-Lago. So contrast that with all of the allegations we're seeing of the Biden administration. Do you think there's equal access? Do you think there's equal justice under the law? I ask you and I ask your listeners to make that decision for themselves.
Hey, good morning, Mike. This is Stal Ponticus. From what I understand, there have been literally over 100 suspicious activity reports in the banking system regarding large amounts of money being transferred around between different accounts. Hard to tell who dominates these accounts, but they all seem to be associated with the Biden family in one way or another. Could you comment about those reports?
I think all of this necessitates further investigation by a special counsel. And I think that, again, when you have the establishment, why do you establish shell companies? That's a simple question you can ask yourself. What is the purpose for all of these dozens of corporations, of these shell companies that have been established? Again, to create a network of complexity to make it more and more difficult to unravel how money flows through and ultimately arrives at a certain destination. If you're able to create a network, a complex network, it becomes that much more difficult for somebody investigating you to understand the scope of such scheme. And I think ultimately you have to have, you have Congress who's investigating it. They have certain powers. However, special prosecutors have additional powers that would be necessary to fully unravel and try to explain this to the American people and make it understandable in an easy way in a scenario that clearly was designed to be complicated.
We're visiting with Mike O'Neill from the Landmark Legal Foundation. And Mike, you mentioned the Donald Trump situation, and we haven't read the indictments yet, so we don't know the specifics of the charges that he's going to, I guess, hear on Tuesday. Overall, though, do we know what is allowed from a president leaving office as far as which documents he can take and which documents he can't take? Mm-hmm. We know that he can declassify whatever he wants, but whether it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden or any other president, what is allowed? Because Donald Trump is arguing, saying, I was president, I can declassify whatever I want. So what's the framework we should keep in mind when we hear the rest of these indictments, whatever they are, on Tuesday?
Right. That's a fantastic question. So we're dealing with several areas of the law here. We've got the Presidential Records Act, which you would think a common sense would dictate covers this area, right? So under the Presidential Records Act, the president has very broad authority as you just indicated, to declassify and hold on to retain records that he generated that were in his possession and generated during his presidency. Now you have the Espionage Act, though. So prosecutors, how are we going to, the prosecutors are thinking to themselves, they've completely weaponized this process, by the way. They said, how are we going to get around this broad authority that President Trump has to hold on to, retain, and declassify records under the Presidential Records Act? Oh, I know what we're going to do. We're going to go outside the Presidential Records Act. We're going to use the Espionage Act, which is a criminal statute. Not a statute like the Presidential Records Act, which just governs the process of retaining and holding records for former presidents. The Espionage Act, which applies to the entire government, and is a criminal statute, and we're going to see if we can loop in the Espionage Act into the actions of President Trump, because we have to circumvent all of the defenses that he's going to assert under the Presidential Records Act. And again, what is the purpose of the Espionage Act? Look at it. If you're a prosecutor, you have to exercise prosecutorial discretion in this case. Did President Trump make copies of those records and sell them to the Chinese? Did he sell them to the Russians? Did he use those records in a nefarious manner? As far as I'm concerned, as far as I can see, the public record, the record reflects that certainly not. They sat in Mar-a-Lago. right? But they've had to use this the Espionage Act to bring these really, really serious, charges that have serious consequences. You're talking criminal statutes that carry years of prison sentences for them. And again, for what purpose? You are indicting a president of the United States for holding on to records in Mar-a-Lago. You are turning this country into a banana republic. You have weaponized the Department of Justice. You have created completely terrifying precedent going forward for this country because President Trump had some boxes of records in Florida. You have to ask yourself the bigger questions of what's playing here.
All right, Landmark Legal Foundation, Mike, what's the website? What's the social media? I'm hoping people will get in touch or follow what you're doing there. Really appreciate you giving us the update.
My pleasure. Landmarklegal.org. You just check out some of the great stuff we've been working on. That's outside of all of this stuff we're talking about this morning. Landmarklegal.org.
All right, Mike, good talk to you again. Thanks so much.
Take care, guys.
All right, 314-912-1019. All right, let's go into the details and the specifics of what we know about the indictments. And this is your chance to sound off on this. 314-912-1019. I've got some reaction from Donald Trump's Republican opponents, some reaction from his Democratic opponents, and a number of them on the Republican side are saying there's a bigger picture here than just this campaign. What do you think? Let's talk about it just ahead right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin Rob. Get up.
You get the point with this? Like, they've done this before?
Bongino.
We had the IRS targeting case where they actually admitted to it. I love when lefties try to pretend that didn't happen, the targeting of the Tea Party and conservative groups.
Weekdays at 11 on News Talk STL.
Adam, man, your aunt parties are the best. You always find the best kitchens with all the crumbs.
Thanks, man. I love finding these homes to do this at.
Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. I love to grill and definitely prefer using charcoal over gas. And ever since I met Jonathan Heslop and he introduced me to his product, Rockwood Lump Charcoal, I can't use anything else. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory and has been the nationally highest consumer-ranked charcoal for several years. So you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. Doesn't get any better than that. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Columbo and Katie.
Katie, I'm really interested to know if you even have ever heard of some of these things, let alone done them. Using a pencil to rewind a cassette tape.
Never done it. Never, ever done it.
A million times I've done it. Skip, right?
Explain to me what a cassette tape is.
Oh my gosh, not that far.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Fox News commentary.
Sanctuary State Governor Gavin Newsom is having an absolute meltdown after Governor DeSantis sent him a plane full of illegals. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Governor Newsom is on one this week. Over 36, yes, 36 illegal immigrants being flown and dropped off in Sacramento. He is even vowing to launch an investigation into this travesty, claiming the state of Florida and those involved are guilty of criminal kidnapping. Gavin, these illegals were not lied to or kidnapped. They wanted to go to California to see you in your sanctuary state. I mean, I agree with you. Your state is trash, so I'm a little perplexed as to why they'd want to go there. But nevertheless, just take it in. Bask in it, Gavin. After all, you are a proud sanctuary state, so the more the merrier, right? Your state is a sanctuary state. Florida is not. You co-sign illegal activity. Florida does not. Why should red states like Texas and Florida have to bear all of the burden of these illegal immigrants? Governor DeSantis sent you an early Christmas gift, and you really should be thanking him. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless at Outkick.com.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
Female millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, Donald Trump indicted again.
Again.
Yeah. This time it's a federal grand jury that issues the indictments. Don't forget, you know who's going to have something to say about this? I'm just guessing, guys. I'm guessing Dan Bongino might have an opinion on this.
Oh, you think?
Possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
I'm
so
not sure.
From 11 to 2, he may or may not blow up your speakers right here on News Talk STL.
If you're using earbuds, be careful.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, he's going to yell.
Yes.
Dan's going to yell.
Yes, he is.
I think so. So you do not want to miss that. You know Vic Porcelli's going to have.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're going to have updates throughout the entire day between Vic and then Dan Bongino, obviously Tony and Katie, Chris and Tim later on today, and then Larry Connors.
Yeah.
After that, then, of course, Joe Pags
and Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon, yeah. So we're staying on top of it all day long here. Okay, so Donald Trump's indictment, and let me tell you something, just from a communications and political perspective, Trump was very, very smart in being the one to push out the news.
Yes.
We learned about these federal indictments from Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
That is very smart on his part. He shaped the narrative because instead of CNN, leading with the federal government's indicted Donald Trump and putting Trump in a position to go, no, I'm innocent, and him being on defense, he put it out there and said, I'm getting indicted by the federal government. This is a witch hunt. This is going after me. And he's going to put the federal government and the Biden administration in a position to go, well, no, wait.
Right.
So he's shaping how the discussion is happening on this, which is very smart on his part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, this is related to the Mar-a-Lago raid months ago.
Right.
We just heard from Mike O'Neill, Landmark Legal, which, by the way, I really appreciate him bringing that up because when I talked to Mike's office, gosh, I don't know, 2-3 days ago to arrange the interview, we were talking about the Biden corruption scandal.
Mm-hmm.
And I always double check with lawyers before I ask them about different individual cases.
Yeah, because they like to be read up on the cases
Yes.
before they comment on them.
Exactly.
Standard legal practice.
Mike was pissed.
He
He's
was
like,
he was ready to go. And you see this bull crap over
Yeah.
here? Yeah, he was ready to go.
He was. So you know what? Tell your friends about that. That's going to be up on our podcast sometime midday today.
Yes.
And that's one I think that you need to send to all of your friends and family. So if you haven't subscribed to the News Talk STL podcast, find us wherever your podcasts are. Find us, subscribe, forward that on to everybody. Okay, do that.
You know what? I don't know Mike, but I'm guessing my wife would call him a honey badger.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
I've been interviewing Mike for years. I mean, and his PR person is a good friend of mine that I used to work with when I used to work for former Congressman Bob Barr. And she connected us. And the first time I met Mike, I'm like, okay, this is a guy who will, if he sees something that is, he thinks is unethical or
corrupt,
immoral. I
yeah.
mean, this guy's as conservative as the day is long. He's like, okay, we're going to debate it, but I'm doing it in a way of I'm going for your jugular in a legal sense.
Yes, it's like we must destroy this.
Right, exactly. So landmarklegal.org is where you want to catch up with those guys. Okay, so this is related to the Mar-a-Lago documents, like I just said, with that raid that happened. And one of the things that I'm really, really concerned about because we're seeing accurate reactions, and I'll read one from like Josh Hawley in a little bit, Eric Schmidt. went on, I forgot what show it was, but he basically said this is Banana Republic type stuff.
Yeah.
And when you start using that language, especially when there's evidence that you're right when you use that language, this is the type of thing that says, okay, this should also be telling us how far our process and our system, our political system, our policy system is breaking down, and that results in what happens in Eastern Europe.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's where fists fly, God forbid, bullets fly. We've seen little hot spots of that around the country. But I'm worried about this becoming more of the norm on this. And then everybody's going to blame everybody else on it. Okay, so Donald Trump went on his Truth Social to announce this. And so here's just part of that announcement.
Our country is going to hell, and they come after Donald Trump, weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the FBI. We can't let this continue to go on because it's ripping our country to shreds. We have such big problems, and this shouldn't be one of them.
314-912-1019. And according to Donald Trump's lawyer, Jim Trusty, he says that the charges that are going to be, I guess, formally announced in court on Tuesday in Miami include a charge of violating the Espionage Act, which Mike O'Neill just talked about. Trusty says that there are several obstruction charges. He says that there are charges related to false statements of what, I don't know yet, and that there's at least one conspiracy charge that are all part of this federal indictment.
You know, one of the foundations of a good society, a society that's going to endure, is the idea that everybody can have some semblance of reliance on the system, that the laws will be applied equally. You know, you need some measure of that, and you know, even when a minority of people, you know, let's say back in the 60s and 70s, could not rely on the equal application of the law, it creates massive turmoil, as it should on some level, because you know you need to write that. But this situation, however, is one where basically half of the country doesn't or is very trepidatious about a justice system that doesn't seem to be applying itself equally across all the spectrum. So that doesn't bode well to the future of the country.
There are several pillars of any society, okay? And you look at a Western society like ours.
In particular.
Yeah, in ours, there are several pillars. Family, culture, which you could relate to family. You can also look at religion, you know, public square, religious life. You've also got, obviously, government. But among that, you've got our body politic, the people that we're electing to make decisions, and then also justice, law enforcement, the courts. If and when any of these are undermined and chipped away at, all it takes is one or two to fall and crumble, and the whole house comes down. We have almost every single one right now under attack, with the left swinging the axes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at what's going on with the family. This is part of the culture war that we're fighting right now. Is attacks on family, attacks on the cohesiveness of of society itself. You know, in the larger culture. Right. You know, both of those are very closely related. Religion in particular is very much under attack by a justice system that is applying laws unequally, and of course, in government, you have a bicameral system that is moving so far apart that you can't you literally cannot find a compromise position because the ideological basis is so diametrically opposed.
Okay, so let's do this. Right around 7:34, let's get reaction to this. I've got it from both sides of the aisle, and I've got it from some of Donald Trump's supporters and from some of his opponents, and I want to hear it from you. 314-912-1019. Variety of perspectives to take in here, but what's yours? That's the most important one. I'm going to go back to the Rumble chat box here, and I'll keep an eye on that. Gabe, Stell, you guys watch Facebook. Gabe,
and Twitter.
You got Twitter as well. This is a federal indictment. This is a really, really big deal. It's easy for a lot of people to go, whatever, they're indicting him, they're doing it. No, this is a big deal. I mean, whether it's legit or not doesn't matter. It's a big deal. And it does put Donald Trump in peril. Now, you may say, but that's not right. That's not just. Okay, I get it. I don't think you're wrong. But understand he's in peril because of this, without a doubt. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. A little warmer today, but humidity remains low. Another very nice day for June. Sunny skies up to 84. Tonight, mostly clear and dry. Lows in the upper 50s to low 60s. Humidity creeps up a little tomorrow. It's a warmer day, too, with a high of 88. Stray shower possible late Saturday, but rain chances really rocket up on Sunday with occasional rain and storms. Cooler with highs only in the 70s. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
You know, when we talk about dental care, a lot of times the first thing you think about is, are my teeth white? Are there chips? Are there cavities? Do I need a crown? Yes, I need a cleaning. But have you thought about what your dental health means for the health of the rest of your body? If you're pregnant, there's a big impact of your dental health and your gum health and inflammation in and around the teeth and the gums that can impact preterm labor and really impact the successful outcome. There are some studies that suggest that poor dental health may be related to premature cardiovascular disease. These are the kind of issues that are addressed when you visit my friends at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. The whole family can benefit from a visit to Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles with Dr. Dan Cusimano, Dr. Megan Dwyer, Dr. Jay Omas. Or if you haven't seen anyone for a while, go out and get to know them. It's a fabulous team, all up and down the team, from the dentist to the hygienist to the front office. Great group. 978-0226. That's 636-978-0226. Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles, advanceddentistrynow.com.
This is the perfect time to upgrade your home. Mike Ferguson here from my friends at Window World. Their number is 314-993-1800. Improve your home with Window World's double-strength glass windows. Those come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. 314-993-1800. Get a free in-home estimate. Window World is the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. 314-993-1800 or windowworld.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've been thinking about the time you walked out on me.
I just need a little mid-tempo here to calm me down. If I could sing, I'd sing along, but I'm not going to. You're welcome, St. Louis.
Could throw us off the internet.
Oh, my goodness. My wife used to say, I just wish someday you'd serenade me and sing to me. And I'm like, no, I'd like to stay married to you. Because my wife's an excellent singer. I'm not. Steve Perry is a great singer. So I think what we should do is let Steve Perry sing for a second. Then we're going to amp things back up, talk about this ridiculous Trump indictment situation here. So what do you think? Let Steve Perry sing just for a second here?
I agree.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's
please.
do it.
We need a little bit.
Right now. Here we go.
All right.
All right, let's get back to it here. Time to get pissed off again.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
I was in full concert mode over here.
Oh, man, you had okay, you've got the light on your phone.
Yeah.
Can I tell you that, last concert I went to was, it's been a couple months. It was either Kix at Diamond Music Hall, or it was Warrant and Lita Ford over at Family Arena. So the 80s bands. But it's funny when the slow songs come on and people hold up their phone and turn on the light.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking back, I'm like, man, in the 80s, in the 90s, we had fire.
Yes.
Actual fire. And there's an app on your phone for a concert that is just a picture
A picture.
of a
That's
flame.
right. That's right. So you turn around, you get the
And
full
you turn
screen,
around, you've got
you get
and I'm
flame.
thinking,
yeah, it's the wussification of America.
if you seriously are not risking a drunken inflamement of somebody's hair, are you really at a concert? Come on, get with it. Okay, Donald Trump announces, he's the one who announced that he's got federal indictment against him. I'm reading several reports that say 7 counts. Now, we'll know for sure, it looks like on Tuesday, he has been summoned to appear in federal court in Miami, and it appears that he's going to have to be there, not just his lawyers. So the media is going to have a frenzy in South Florida. So let's get some of the reactions. 314-912-1019. I'll try to check the Rumble box back and forth as much as I can. You'll watch the other social media. Among those, Vivek Ramaswamy, let me play this soundbite that I couldn't get to about an hour ago or so. Here's part of his reaction. And what he's talking about is the double standards when it comes to federal law enforcement and the judiciary under the Biden administration.
Guess what? Now you have one for Joe Biden, who violates the same laws about document retention and classified documents, and then one for President Trump. And actually, there's deep questions, legal questions, that's for the courts, about declassification power, about whether documents are overclassified. But that's not the point. The point today is that we, the people, decide who actually governs in this country, not some administrative police state. And I am sorry, we do not live in some banana republic where the party in power gets to use its power to arrest political opponents. And believe me, it would be easier for me if Donald Trump were not in this race. But this is not about politics to me. This is about principle. I stand on the side of principle, and I'm committing to say that if I am elected as your next president on January 20th, 2025, I will pardon not just President Trump, but every victim of a politically motivated prosecution. Believe me, there have been others too. We will restore the rule of law in this country again.
Yeah, that's probably the one of the best reactions you can get from a presidential candidate is like, hey, I recognize this wrong. If I get into power, I will right that wrong. That's what you're supposed to say as a candidate.
Vivek Ramaswamy also said, "We do not live in a banana republic." Is he right?
Well,
is he right or is he wrong?
I think that's more of an aspirational quote from him.
Yeah,
because I think he's kind of recognizing that this is banana republic conduct.
Yeah,
but it should not be the standard for America.
Okay, Tim Scott was on Fox News Tonight with Harris Faulkner, and she asked about the news of the indictment to the fellow Republican candidate. Here's what Tim Scott had to say.
We look at every single case based on the evidence. And in America, every single person is presumed innocent, not guilty. And what we've seen over the last several years is the weaponization of the Department of Justice against the former president.
Yeah, you're going to see that theme. All right, let's hear from who we got up first here. We got Tom up first. Hey, Tom, you are on News Talk STL. What's your reaction? You hear the news, Donald Trump facing federal indictment. What's your take?
Well, first of all, I think that the United States of America is going to ATW Q-tips in a handbasket real quick. But what does that man know that they know that he knows that they don't want him back in there is my first thought. And I mean, now I listened to something on Rumble called the X-22 report. And that guy says that Trump, he planned on this happening. Okay. Because now they've set a precedent. Okay. Now you can go back in and you can investigate Obama, and Clinton and all that. But I don't know. I just think what the shame is that it's making the United States of America the laughing stock of the world. That's what's the shame.
All right. Hey, Tom, thanks for being on the program there, man. Stell, I thought you were going to have to dive for the dump button. Tom, thank you so much.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Tom.
Okay, so let's get to Tom, responding to Tom there. Also, statement from Ron DeSantis. The weaponization of federal law enforcement represents a mortal threat to a free society. We have for years witnessed an uneven application of the law depending upon political affiliation. Why so zealous in pursuing Trump, yet so passive about Hillary or Hunter? The The DeSantis administration will bring accountability to the DOJ, excise political bias, and end weaponization once and for all. And so his line about why so zealous in pursuing Trump, yet so passive about Hillary or Hunter goes along with what Tom was just saying a second ago.
Absolutely, and we've seen this for a long time. I mean, everybody can go straight back to the Obama administration and the use of the IRS, starting with a sort of passive way of dealing unevenly with people. So if you had Patriot in your 501c3 application, you weren't going to get the same level of service at the IRS in getting your status as you would if you were, I don't know, in some progressive group.
You know what's encouraging to me right now?
What's that?
And I know that somebody's like, the hell are you talking about?
Is
Mike?
it encouraging? It's like, what are you talking about?
Is that there are so many people who are recognizing that there is a bigger picture here than any one, even presidential campaign. Okay? That there is a much bigger picture in our nation right now. That, yes, people have their favorites. Maybe you like Donald Trump. Maybe you like Ron DeSantis. Maybe you like Nikki Haley. Maybe you like, whoever. Maybe you were listening and you do like Joe Biden. We know there are liberals listening to the show here.
Sure.
So, but people understand that this affects the presidential race. But there are so many people, and Tom was an example of this, who recognize that this is much bigger than that we do not want, or we should not want, to live in the country that says, if I win the election, then I get to dispatch federal or state or local police after the people who disagree with me and use those tactics to throw people in prison or to indict them because I don't like their politics or because they're a threat to my policy goals or my social goals. Because you know where that happens? That happens in China. You know where that happens? That happens in North Korea. You know where that happens? That happens in Islamic states. That's where those things happen, and we are dangerously close to that happening right here.
Yeah, we keep moving in that direction, and I think people are recognizing it now. It used to be that, it would never happen here. We must be seeing something wrong, or I'm sure they have a good reason for doing X, Y, and Z. We made all kinds of excuses because we want to believe that America is better, that Americans are better. Paul Kurtman was talking about it this morning, though. I don't think we're as good as we used to be.
I agree.
We don't adhere to a higher standard, a higher level of accountability. People don't say, I'm going to be held responsible for what I do here on Earth, when I hit the pearly gate. So they're maybe a little less inclined to give, consideration to the greater ideas here.
I agree, Gabe. I can't add much to that.
Okay, so how about this? Because I'm trying to get some reactions that's to this news. So let's go a little bit locally here. Congresswoman Cori Bush.
Oh, God.
Speaking of, we're not as good as we used to be. Okay, Cori Bush put out a statement on Twitter, and she says, the former white supremacist in chief has been indicted on federal charges. He must be held accountable.
Yes, former white supremacist. Yes. That's clearly what it was. Yes, Cori Bush.
Okay, so
evil woman.
Yeah. So let's compare that to Senator Josh Hawley, who put out a statement saying, in part, Joe Biden has used his Justice Department to go after parents as domestic terrorists, to spy on Catholic parishes, to terrorize and harass pro-life Christians, and tonight to indict his top political opponent, Trump. He has trampled the rule of law to benefit himself. He has led the country into profound danger.
Yeah. Here's a question. Are we sitting on a political powder keg right now?
I think we're tap dancing on it.
Jeez. This is the scary part. It's like this stuff I don't really like to talk about because I don't want to kind of create a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy in it. But it feels like we're on the verge of something big popping off, and I'm really scared of that.
It's almost as though the fuse may be lit, and hopefully it's a really long fuse, because if it's a short fuse, we're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Larry Elder was on Fox News at Night last night and asked about this.
If the Trump family had done one fraction of what the Biden family is accused of doing, they'd be marching on Washington. It's just such an outrageous thing.
And it's interesting to see so many of Donald Trump's opponents in the Republican race coming in and saying this is ridiculous. Now, the reality is that we don't know what those indictments say yet.
Right.
Okay?
We don't have any of the details.
Right. But we see the pattern to this. Chris Christie put out a statement saying, we don't get our news from Trump's Truth Social account. Let's see what the facts are when any possible indictment is released. As I have said before, no one is above the law, no matter how much they wish they were. We will have more to say when the facts are revealed. So the words he said were not inaccurate, but that's clearly a shot at Donald Trump.
Yeah, man. Michael on Facebook says 2024 may be the last semi-normal election ever, or the time marker of when normalcy was finally abandoned.
When was the last time we had a normal election? I would say probably the last time we had a normal election was Barack Obama's second term, because he won pretty handily.
Yeah, I guess that was a normal one.
He won pretty handily both of those.
I was going back to Bush v. Gore, but
that was not a normal.
No, I mean
election.
prior to that, as a marker for when it went off the rails.
Obama won pretty handily.
You're
both
right.
times.
Those were relatively normal.
Since then, not so much.
Not so much.
Okay, so let's go ahead and lighten things up just a little bit and talk about Not Today, Satan.
Yeah. It's lighten things up a little.
I'm walking away with that. Are you kidding me?
Mike, come back.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Hey, St. Louis, it's Dan Bongino, proud to be part of the News Talk STL lineup.
Every weekday from 11 to 2, we'll get together to talk about what's going on.
News, analysis, opinion, and always some fun. Make an appointment to be with us every weekday beginning at 11 on News Talk STL.
Welcome home.
In St. Louis, the number 5 means only one thing. Albert Pujols. On Saturday, June 10th, the Cardinals host the Reds, and that day, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will take home their own Pujols Cardinals Road Saturday jersey. And 10,000 kids ages 15 and younger entering with a ticket will get a kids Pujols jersey thanks to High Chew. That's Saturday, June 10th, the Cardinals, the Reds, and the Pujols jersey giveaways. Great seats remain. Get your tickets at Cardinals.com.
Saturday, June 10th is the 31st annual Christian Day at the ballpark, presented by He Gets Us. That day, the Cardinals host the Reds, and fans are invited to stay in their seats for a post-game program featuring current Cardinal players, broadcasters, and this year's featured speaker, former Cardinals player and member of the 2006 championship team, Scott Spezio. That's Saturday, June 10th, Christian Day at the ballpark. For full details or to purchase tickets, visit cardinals.com/Christian Day.
Hey, it's Vic. With today's high inflation, uncertain market conditions, and rising healthcare costs, you have enough on your mind. Don't let the high cost of long-term care be one of them. Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper's new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care, discusses tax efficiency challenges and asset protection. Get your free copy by visiting SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Investment advisory and financial planning services offered through Simplicity Wealth, LLC, SEC registered investment advisor. This is a paid endorsement. Insurance, consulting, and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
I was tricked and sent money to a phony investor.
Abuse to the elderly comes in different forms. Financial fraud is one of them. I'm Jay Ashcroft, Missouri Secretary of State. Every day, the Securities Division in my office works to protect Missourians from shysters. And every year, we recognize June 15th as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Together, we can stop elder abuse. Visit MissouriProtectsInvestors.com for information and resources. That's MissouriProtectsInvestors.com.
Paid for by the Investor Education Fund.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey everybody, it's Paul Kurtman. Make sure you join me every Saturday from 12 to 1 here on News Talk STL for the Paul Kurtman Show. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
All right. Hey, it's 7:50 on a Friday. We got a lot of updates still coming over the next hour of the show. But for the meantime, Gabe, why don't you take it?
Yeah, since we're going to hell in a handbasket anyway, it's the weird, the wacky, and the worrisome. These are the stories that make you sad.
Nicely done.
Look, all the devil.
Oh, hell no. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
Devil.
There's only way to be sure.
Not today, Satan. Not today. Amen.
Okay.
Okay.
Stell did not dance on that one.
Oh, Stell.
We have the arms in the air dance on that. And Stell, you did not do it. I'm
Sorry, I was
calling you out.
He was busy moving slides.
I was trying to keep us in the guardrails.
Still on the wheels of steel. Okay, so let's get to our stories here. In life, we all make mistakes, right? We all make mistakes, but very few have done what a woman from New York did when she mixed up her eye drops with a bottle of super glue.
No, God, please, no!
It happened in real life.
Oh, see, I've seen that on sitcoms. That actually happened?
Apparently, to this woman, it actually happened. Now, of course, it's despite the intense smell and it being vastly different in consistency to her eye drops. Lydia Hartman mistook the super glue for her medicine. I can't quite wrap my head around it, but either way, it was done. Naturally, being super glue, it did what glue does in a super way. So Hartman, of course, took to social media to document the hospital visit and recovery process because everything must go on TikTok.
I think I know why she was dumb enough to put that on. If she's dumb enough to go on social media and tell the world she was dumb enough to put the stuff in her eyes.
At this point, I almost think she did it on purpose so she could have this TikTok. So among the other things in her TikTok clips, we see the doctors prying her eyelids back open.
No.
Yes, it did hurt, she said.
You think?
Golly.
It's so gross. No. And the funny part is, Mike has had several procedures done in his eyes, so he's like,
I have had stuff stuck in my eyes a bunch of times over the past 6 months.
Well, and that's the thing. Those were actually done by a professional with anesthetic, and even then, it was just kind of skeeves you out. I couldn't imagine putting actual super glue in there. So anyway.
Did she lose her vision?
I have not heard about the after effects. I think she's still in recovery. She has medicine that she does to deal with the after effects. So we'll see if her full vision comes back.
And maybe therapy?
Well, she may need mental therapy for getting
saying.
these things done. So in our second story, an Arkansas woman pleaded not guilty to selling over 20 boxes of stolen human body parts.
Hell no.
Now, she pleaded not guilty, but she guilty.
Huh?
Yeah, okay. Candace Chapman, let me explain. Candace Chapman Scott, a 36-year-old former mortuary services worker, is accused of selling everything from skin to skulls to a buyer in Pennsylvania, according to a federal grand jury indictment unsealed by a Little Rock court. Scott worked for a mortuary that cremated the remains of former medical school cadavers. So after she messaged the owner of a private Facebook group of about 380 members named Oddities that billed itself as a, quote, safe way to shop, she arranged the whole system to send the buyer body parts via the U.S. Postal Service. So over the course of the next 9 months, Scott proceeded to ship the buyer, among other things, an ear, an arm, hands, breasts, penises, and one whole human head. In exchange, he paid her $10,975 in 16 separate PayPal transfers. The indictment does not name the buyer, but separate state charges connect the case to Pennsylvania resident Jeremy Lee Pauley, age 40.
Okay, I read a book like this. It was written by Mary Shelley.
Yeah, maybe the guy was trying to build himself a couple of friends there.
Oh, for God's sake.
It is one of the weirdest stories I've seen in a while.
I don't care what tough prison they send her to. She's going to walk in. Everybody's going to be like, no.
Okay.
No.
Here, have my cigarettes. So in our last story comes out of Missouri City, Texas, where authorities came out to wrangle an 11-foot alligator. I did not know they had alligators in Texas.
Wow, yeah.
Apparently there are swampy areas where there are naturally occurring alligators.
Who knew there would be armadillos in Missouri?
Yes.
So that's a good point. So they're all over.
I saw one 3 days ago.
So apparently this area of Texas has seen its share of alligators, but Cornelius Gregg Jr. spotted what he describes as a, quote, ginormous beast not far from his neighborhood in the Houston suburbs. Trappers said it took 3 hours to wrangle the 1,200-pound alligator onto a wrecker truck after it put up quite a fight. And it took the crane on a tow truck to lift it into the back of a pickup.
So what you're saying is they caught Godzilla.
They caught Godzilla just hanging around in the neighborhood. Grieg said, while neighbors and the local gator population have appeared to reach a mutual understanding with each other, it's still disconcerting to find such a large animal so close to you. Quote, a lot of our neighbors walk their dogs, they run, walk by reading books, and the worst thing to do is wake up in the morning and there's an alligator at your front door. Okay, now it's bad enough when your neighbors are loud, obnoxious, or toxically nosy, but if my neighbors are 1,200-pound alligators, I'm calling a realtor. Who should I call, Mike?
I'll call Rodney and Jen Wallner at 314-810-SOLD.
Okay, yes, I'm calling those guys, and you know what I'm saying.
Look all the devil.
Oh, hell no. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening. The devil.
There's only way to be sure.
Not today, Satan. Not today. Amen.
You know what? I saw a video on my Reels feed the other day, and it was like two women, and they were just like doing a float trip. They were just floating down a river, and I don't know where it was. And one of them, she had her phone, and it was actually kind of a normal thing you'd record if you're recording on a river, and they're in these big floaty things.
Yeah.
And then she's looking at her friend, and all of a sudden she looks over, and there's a big log, and there's an alligator on it.
Oh.
And her friend's floating like right to it.
Oh, no.
And the alligator like puffs up and starts hissing, and she's screaming at her friend, who's then trying to kick away. And then the video cuts off, and I don't even know what happened.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
yeah, not
geez.
today, Satan. Get away.
All right, a government right here in the St. Louis area, St. Louis County, in my opinion, is engaging in grand theft auto for profit. I'm going to back up that accusation at 8:04.
More reptile stories next hour.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. It's a bid to derail his presidential campaign and distract from bribe-taking allegations against President Biden. That's former President Trump's take on his indictment in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case.
As the Justice Department pursues federal charges against Trump, he's alleging election interference.
They're trying to destroy your reputation so they can win an election.
In a video statement, the former president declares his innocence and says he will fight the charges.
White House correspondent Greg Clugston, one of Mr. Trump's challengers for the GOP presidential nomination, is weighing in.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is condemning the indictment of Donald Trump.
Trump is DeSantis' chief rival for the Republican presidential nomination. In a tweet, DeSantis says the weaponization of federal law enforcement represents a mortal threat to a free society, and he promises to end what he calls political bias and to bring accountability to the Department of Justice if he's elected. Other high-ranking Republicans, including House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, have used similar language in their responses to the indictment, which they're portraying as political persecution. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
President Biden dismisses the bribery allegations against him as a bunch of malarkey. A lot of people breathing a bit easier in the East this morning. We're already starting to see some improvement in the air quality situation. The Canadian wildfires are still burning, but the weather patterns are shifting, helping to cleanse the air. Tiffany Murray is pleased with that. She's visiting New York City.
Being an asthmatic myself, I was a little bit concerned prior to coming here today. But we're here and we're having a good time, and so far so good.
Over the past few days, air quality in the East has ranged from unhealthy to hazardous. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures down 67 points. NASDAQ futures are up 45. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Blue Star medicated ointment gets 5-star reviews from our loyal users for fast relief of the pain and itch of almost any skin irritation.
Blue Star soothes insect bites and fungal infections.
It really works on the summer rashes I get every year.
I had psoriasis on my elbows. Blue Star worked wonders.
Amazing stuff. Smear a bit on and the itch is gone.
Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast, or your money back.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. A little warmer today, but humidity remains low. Another very nice day for June. Sunny skies up to 84. Tonight, mostly clear and dry. Lows in the upper 50s to low 60s. Humidity creeps up a little tomorrow. It's a warmer day, too, with a high of 88. Stray shower possible late Saturday, but rain chances really rocket up on Sunday with occasional rain and storms. Cooler with highs only in the 70s. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Hey guys, it's Anna from Talkative. I am so excited to have finally found a coffee that doesn't leave me feeling jittery or overstimulated, and that's Pure Cure. Pure Cure is different from your average coffee company. They don't use artificial flavorings to mask a low-quality coffee. Instead, they have unique artisan roasts that showcase the full flavor of their coffee beans. I particularly love their signature blend, which is a take on amaretto, and you should check them out too. That's Pure Cure, PURCUR, coffee.com.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine. Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s new country streaming now. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, throughout the morning, we're getting more reaction to the indictment of Donald Trump. Talking about the federal indictment of Donald Trump.
Right.
This is. Have you noticed that people have forgotten about the New York State indictment of Donald Trump on the business stuff?
That's right. Didn't it start to collapse under its own weight too?
Well, I mean, they still, the process, the court cases, the actual hearings and the trial on that are expected to happen next year basically right in the middle of primary and caucus season.
Oh, of course.
So that's been pushed off the headlines. Now we're talking about a federal indictment. And of course, when you scroll through, and this morning I was scrolling through the different news sources talking about the mainstream and legacy, first time in history a former president has been federally indicted. Because that was what they did with the New York, is the first time a former president has been indicted.
Right.
So now we've got this. And so I've got an update for you at 8:20 on this, including you're going to hear from President Trump as well. And then around 8:35, let's do a deep dive. We've got reaction from around the political sphere and plenty of time for you to get involved in this conversation as well. I mean, you can do it right now on social media, Facebook and Rumble and Twitter and everything, and 314-912-1019 as well. But we're really, when you boil it all down, we're talking about the abuse of government. Now, the federal government's going to say that Donald Trump is abusing his position as a president and former president, taking all these documents because this has to do with Mar-a-Lago.
Right.
And then, of course, Trump and frankly, everybody else is saying, no, this is an abuse of the justice system by the Biden administration going after a political opponent. But abuse of government happens at all levels. So when we're going to get back to, I'm going to give you time to I'm going to give you time to think about your thoughts on this and to get involved in the conversation. Understand that this happens at other levels of government too. And this morning, and normally this is a story that I may come back to like once an hour. Right. Because it made me so mad, and it's happening right here in St. Louis. But it's that common theme of abuse of government, and it's right here in St. Louis County. Okay,
right.
So let me get my notes on this one as well. And Fox 2 is where I found the story, and they actually did a really good job with this article, and it has to do with a city government under the guise of, well, you know what, we're going to go after these expired temp tags. Because we've had a lot of fun joking about that because, like, hey, it's a St. Louis way of life. We've got these temp tags that are expired everywhere.
Yeah.
And
where'd you go to high school, and how old is your temp tag?
Right, exactly.
Because we got Ferguson. Ferguson's got temp tag Tuesdays.
That's right.
That's right. They're going after temp
and
tag.
Ferguson, the city, not me.
Yeah.
and Calverton Park now has temp tag towing.
Yes.
Yes,
Nice.
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what we're talking about here. And I got to tell you, I was furious when I read this morning.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, absolutely livid.
I couldn't imagine somebody doing this to me.
So let me try to set this up in a way where I'm actually going to play devil's advocate. And by devil's advocate, what I'm actually talking about is Calverton Park City Hall. And this is one of the 80 some or 90 municipalities in the St. Louis area. I'm not even familiar with Calverton Park. I'm embarrassed to say I wasn't even familiar. I hadn't even heard it.
Yeah, you know what? I looked it up on a map. It's just north of Ferguson.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's right there.
Before you hit 270.
So you've got an area of the county where there are a higher percentage of people struggling financially. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Is that, okay. So keep that in mind. And of course, there are a lot of people that get all high and mighty, and it's like, do something about these temp tags. I'm so mad about temp tags. I think it's funny. I mean, listen, you're going to pay the sales tax one way or the other at some point, and you're going to have your day of reckoning on that. But what's happening here is that they now have a systemic process in place where if they see cars that have expired temp tags, not even on the road.
Right, just in your driveway.
On your private property, they're issuing warrants and they're towing. They are going onto their citizens' private property and towing the cars away and holding them for ransom, costing their citizens thousands and thousands of dollars. So Channel 2, Fox 2 did this story. And what's happening is a judge, the city hall judge, and if you're a city judge, which is usually a part-time job of some lawyer, young lawyer somewhere, they're signing off on warrants, search warrants, and then telling the city to go tow these cars. So literally driving onto your property because you have an expired tag, whether you're driving it on the roads or not, saying, well, we have an ordinance that says you can't have an unregistered car on your property. You don't have the authority to do that.
No, not at all. The whole registration purpose is so that you can operate the vehicle on the public roads.
Right.
If it's on your private property, you can't come and get that. That's mine.
And the city says, well, our city lawyer says that we can.
Yeah, screw you.
Right.
Honestly.
So here's what's happening, and they tell the story of one particular woman named Christina Risi. They said they sent her a warning. They gave her 10 days to remove the vehicle, which would mean putting it on the roads, or have a hearing before they took action. Well, they didn't have the hearing from what it comes down to. They took a tow truck and just stole her car. And I chose that word very carefully. This is City Hall stealing private property. You don't get your tags done. That's between you and the state.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the local police can write you a ticket for it because you're violating traffic laws.
Right, and that's fine.
And I've had that happen. I've had my tag. I've gotten a ticket because I forgot to renew my tags.
And I think you should. I think you should have got that one, Mike.
I did it. I didn't complain. I paid the ticket. And you know what? I mean, like right now, they're not temp tags, they're my regular tags. But I just got my inspection, and I'm actually a few days late on that. So technically, my regular plate is expired. And if I get a ticket, I get a ticket. You know, it's gonna. If it happens, it happens. Okay, I'll pay the ticket. Be done with it. Okay, so now I said that. Watch as I'm going to get. I'm going to
get pulled over.
I'm going to Kansas City this weekend. Watch me get pulled over on this.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so but what's happening here is since December of 2020. So we're talking about 2.5 years. Okay, they have issued 350 violations, and they have stolen over 80 vehicles.
That's wild to me. Calverton Park is a tiny little municipality.
How on earth do you think that you have ownership of people's private property to the point where you just go tow them and they say, well, we have an ordinance? Screw your ordinance. I hope that this lady and the 80-some other people who have been victimized by Calverton Park's City Hall sue the crap out of them.
Absolutely.
And bankrupt that city.
Absolutely. I mean, think about all the lost wages, all the lost time and effort that you have. It's just like, you're struggling to pay the dang, registration on your vehicle, but you need your vehicle to get to work. So all of a sudden your vehicle is stolen off of your property.
You walk outside in the morning.
Yeah, on your way to work. And you say, I got to call my boss now to tell him I'm not going to make it to work today because somebody stole my car.
Right.
As far as you know.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, it's funny you should say that because let me just read one of the paragraphs from this, and Stella, get your thoughts on this. It says, Reese has been without her car for 2 weeks and owes the tow yard nearly $1,000 to get her vehicle out, in addition to the $2,000 in state taxes, meaning the sales taxes on the car. Well, you owe that. That's part of buying a vehicle.
That's part of it.
And you can't forget the $336 abatement fee issued by Calverton Park. So they're charging you to steal your vehicle. And it says it's a tough bind for a mom who only has $800 saved up, which tells me she probably bought a car she couldn't afford.
Yeah.
But she has to have a car and she can't get to work right now.
And to think that you probably have to set up a Give, Send, Go account to try and help her out and try to help the others out. And it's even more irritating, Mike, to think it's been going on for over 2 years. And nobody's really investigated the situation.
If you look at the size of Calverton Park, it's mostly residential area. Yeah. There might be 300 houses in this area. 80 of those have had their cars stolen by the government.
Go ahead and say something really incendiary?
Yeah, let's go.
Would Chesterfield try this with their people?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Or Clayton.
Yeah, would Clayton try this? Would Kirkwood try this? Would Ladue try this?
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't try this
They would not.
at all. And there are people driving around with temp tags, and I've seen Beamers with temp tags.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
They're not going into Clayton or Ladue to tow cars and hold them ransom and hold them hostage. But in North County, you can treat people like this. Gee, I wonder what the difference is.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for a fact that they're victimizing their citizens.
Yeah, they're criminalizing poverty.
Yeah.
And I have no idea. She may be a middle class. She may have a bunch of money. And I get it. Somebody can say, hey, pay your taxes. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, I get it. But you deal with a ticket is what you do.
Yes.
Because this is not even a moving violation. And so they think that they've got the right to go on to City Hall. I get more angry with government violating people's rights than I do people not paying taxes.
Absolutely. Well, and the precedent here, the big deal is the idea of that they can criminalize the ownership of something on your private property and then violate your private property rights by going and taking it from you. That's the bigger issue to me.
Right. And so this is an abuse of government situation as far as I'm concerned, as well. Was she breaking the law?
Oh, yeah.
No question about it. Am I breaking the law right now? Yep, because I forgot to renew my tags. And
not right now because you're in a private parking lot.
I'm on a private parking lot. That's
if
true.
you're out on the street,
when I leave here and go to Kansas City to go help my mom because she just had a surgery this week. So when I drive across the state,
You
I'm
can get a
breaking the
ticket.
law.
You can get a
there
ticket.
you go.
That's fine.
Download the podcast, law enforcement. You got me. Breaking the law here. Okay, so but this is an abuse to say that you've got a non-moving violation. You're late on paying taxes. So therefore, we have the right to cross onto your private property.
Take something that you bought.
Right. Take your private property and then hold it for ransom. And by the way, the tow yard, we're giving them a cut because they get to charge you a bunch of money because they have storage fees that they're charging as well. I think somebody who breaks into that tow yard and steals her car back is morally justified. Now,
Absolutely.
don't take that as legal
Yeah,
advice.
yes, it's not legal advice.
Don't go do it, but I would donate to a Give, Send, Go for that person for their defense.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt. I don't want to give it to this lady because I don't want to pay the taxes for her. But. All right, real quick here because I know we got to get to an information segment. Hey, Mike, you're up. What's your reaction to this?
About 10 years ago, Ferguson was doing the same thing with the temp tax. And here's what a couple of the people did. And I think it even made the newspaper or, on TV. They went out and bought a big blue tarp, covered the back of their car in their driveway, and the police couldn't see it.
And they don't have the right to just walk on your property and look it up. That's a good solution.
There you go.
Yes, but here's how some of our illustrious police did in Ferguson. What they did was they said they were chasing a dog, and they happened to just walk by the car and lift up and see.
Oh,
yeah, chasing a dog. I bet.
Okay. That would give them a reason to go on your property without a search warrant because they're trying to, stop a mad dog from biting you. So that's what they did in Ferguson. So that's a wonderful place to live. I think I'm going to move there.
There you go. Hey, Mike, thanks for being on the program, man. Appreciate it.
Look, I'll tell you what, when the government oversteps its bounds, whether on this level, at the local level, or at the federal level by indicting the friggin' president for garbage charges, it's all important because it all speaks to the problems we have in our society.
And I've got the update on that coming your way at 8:21 right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Let's sneak in an information segment. Then let's talk Donald Trump under federal indictment now.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now.
Larry Connors, USA.
It's not uncommon today for young people to try out different labels in search of their truth.
In search of their truth or following your indoctrination.
Larry Connors.
Which came first?
Weeknights at 6 on News Talk STL.
Tuesdays just got better with Taco Tuesdays at Espino's Mexican Grill and Hippo's Cannabis Dispensary. These two great local small businesses right next door to each other in beautiful Chesterfield Valley, 17409 Chesterfield Airport Road. Shop Hippo's on Tuesdays. Spend $50 or more. Get 2 tacos from Espino's with a valid Hippo's lunch ticket. Hippo's open on Tuesdays from noon to 7 p.m. Hippo's has those experienced personal bud tenders to walk you through the entire process. Espino's Mexican Grill has experienced personal bartenders and waitresses to take your order. You might even see Brett Hull, Kelly Chase, or Barrett Jackman at Hippo's Dispensary in Chesterfield. Espino's Mexican Grill, Hippo's Dispensary, together in Chesterfield Valley, 17409 Chesterfield Airport Road. Espino's Mexican Bar Grill.com, Hippo'sCannabis.com. If it's a bud tender or bartender, they've got it all.
All deals valid only while supplies last. Must be over 21. No cash value. Management retails all rights. Medical decisions should not be made based on advertising. Consult a physician on the benefits and risks of particular medical marijuana products. This message is not designed to increase interest in purchasing medical marijuana nor any particular product. License number DIS 000129.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Dr. Robert Malone.
In my attempt to make sense out of this whole crazy, messed up, I can come up with a lot of words for messed up.
Don't you cuss on this here radio.
CNN is my favorite.
Don't you cuss on this here radio.
Be really careful.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Home is where the heart is, but it's also where the money is too.
If you want to make the most of your home, whether you're buying, selling, or staying put, tune into HomeWise, the financial talk show that gives you the real deal on home ownership. HomeWise tells you the secrets that banks, realtors, and contractors don't want you to know, and shows you how to save thousands of dollars on your mortgage, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. HomeWise, how to get the most out of every dollar you put into your home. Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
All right, let's get caught up on what's happening. We're going to go into more depth on this at 8:35, but right now an update on another round of indictments issued against Donald Trump. This time we're talking about federal indictments. Boy, the Cardinals are back on the field tonight. I'll give you an update on that as well. 8:21 right now. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here, got Stel Ponticus here. All right, former President Trump tells us he's the one who broke the news that he's been indicted on federal charges. Among them, mishandling classified documents. At least those are the accusations. Here's Town Hall's Greg Cluxton.
The indictment is the result of special counsel Jack Smith's investigation into whether Trump broke the law by holding on to hundreds of documents marked classified at his Florida home, and whether he took steps to obstruct the government's efforts to recover the records. Writing on social media, Trump said he's been summoned to appear at a federal courthouse in Miami on Tuesday. The former president described it as a dark day for the United States. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And when I say we found out from Donald Trump, he put the news out on his Truth Social, and here's part of what he had to say in his video.
Our country is going to hell, and they come after Donald Trump, weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the FBI. We can't let this continue to go on because it's ripping our country to shreds. We have such big problems, and this shouldn't be one of them.
Okay, I've got more reaction at 8:35, including yours at 314-912-1019, and we're going to go into more depth, Gabe, here in a few minutes. But the more we hear about this and the more that we get some sort of update on it, the more it just appears to be weaponization of the Department of Justice freaking again.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, it's hard to make the case that after so many attempts by various agencies within the government to get Trump on something, you know, the two attempts at impeachment, all of which kind of falls by the wayside, all of this garbage, that this time, guys, that we're really serious and it's really true that we've got something on him, even though it looks like complete bullcrap.
Okay, so this is the second round of indictments. We got a state indictment in New York. We got a federal indictment now based out of Florida. It is common knowledge, it is published knowledge that they are working on indictments related to Georgia as well. So
that's right.
Possible there could be a third round. And so all of these hearings and court cases are going to land in the middle to late part of 2024, right in campaign season, Stel.
You know what? I've got some liberal friends that I keep in touch with. I know that's hard to believe, but I actually do have a few. And I love seeing them licking their chops because they've been doing it for the last 6 or 7 years. And they think that this is going to be it. And I just respond to them of, just look back at what's gone on the last 6 or 7 years. And you think you're onto something, but I don't think so.
Let's also not underestimate that this is a danger to Donald Trump.
Yes.
I mean, without a doubt. I mean, these are serious charges against him. And I don't know anything about the federal court down in southern Florida. I have no idea what they're at. But it even if you say he's got nothing to worry about, he's done nothing wrong, okay, but that may or may not mean that he's not in danger.
Well, one of the things we've noticed that the Democrats do is even if they don't really have it in them, they know they're going to lose an eventual court challenge, or if you have to go all the way up to the Supreme Court, they are not above simply running out the clock, simply trying to drain you of resources. This is how they deal with Second Amendment cases around the country. They create a bogus law that they know is unconstitutional. They fight it all the way up through the courts. They force the various two-way defense organizations to spend tons of money and in litigation and lawyers and all these other stuff. It's really just it's an attack tactic that doesn't have a victory at the end necessarily, but the wounds that they inflict on you all along the way, it helps them.
Yeah, look at Illinois.
Look at Illinois.
I mean, you look at their latest anti-Second Amendment, anti-constitutional law that flies in the face of last year's Supreme Court rulings.
Clearly so.
Right. I mean, it's not even close. So, yeah, I think that you're right. You've assessed the tactic correctly. Okay, other news item that I saw, the Archdiocese of St. Louis has settled with one of the child sexual abuse victims who brought a complaint against a former priest a long time ago. Okay, so the $1 million payment is the second that the Catholic Church is paying out in relation to the actions of former priest Gary Wolken. Now, Wolken was convicted back in 2002 for abusing a boy in a separate case. He was also sentenced to 15 years in prison, and the Archdiocese settled a lawsuit in that case, which, like I said, goes back to 2002, and they settled for $1.6 million. Wolken was formally removed from the clergy in 2007. So he was convicted and they settled in 2002, but he wasn't removed from the clergy until 2007.
Oh my gosh. That's all that stuff. I hate dealing with that.
Yeah. And not that this is exclusive to Catholics.
Oh no,
no. The various Christian evangelical churches have a lot of issues going with this. I don't think it's on the scale of the Catholic Church, but don't think for a minute to say, well, I'm not Catholic. That never happened in my denomination. Oh yeah, it could.
Well, something that's really quiet too is that public schools have an even larger problem than any of the religious organizations combined. Yeah. We just don't hear about it.
And you know what? You look at all the different situations, and how do the administrations try to solve it? They move the folks around quietly to either other parishes or, in the case of school systems, move them onto a different school, or maybe move them to a different district.
Yeah.
Well, that's honestly, in the public school situation, that's one of the reasons we have to break the public school teachers unions of their power, because they can protect people. We heard about the rubber rooms in New York where teachers would show up for years when they finally couldn't let them be in a classroom anymore, so they had them show up to a building, and this was well documented, showing up in some room, and they could bring whatever they wanted, watch TV. They just had to be somewhere in the school to get paid because the teachers union protected them so much, even though they're not allowed in classrooms. So they show up, did nothing all day, made a crap ton of money, and went back home.
Yeah, I mean, all this shows to me is that the types of corruption that lives in the hearts of men is common across all types.
So we've been talking about governmental corruption all day long, both with the indictments that are going against a former president, also the Calverton Park City Hall stealing people's cars under the guise of we're protecting the city from expired temporary tags, to the private sector where we're talking about these $1 million plus settlements for sexual abuse of children as well. So much that you're right, hearts of men.
Yeah, and I guess maybe the overall lesson here is that you have to maintain those checks on power. You have to maintain some semblance of accountability for the people, because you don't really know what's in a man's heart until he actually does something.
Yeah.
And if you give him power, that's when it really comes to light.
So basically, what we're saying is Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday. Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Finally, after a day off, Cardinals back on the diamond tonight to start a series against the Reds at Busch Stadium. I forgot to look. Is this a 3 or 4 game series? I think it's
3 game series for the weekend, and then the Giants come in.
Yes,
on Monday.
Giants are going to be there Monday through Wednesday, because I'll be at Wednesday's game. First pitch tonight, though, is at 7:15. Reds are probably really intimidated because Jordan Montgomery and his 2-7 record is going to be on the mound for the Redbirds. Now, not all of those 7 losses are his fault, though, to be honest. There were some defensive mishaps in some of his games a little bit earlier. So
when does a team lose, lose as a team.
That's right. You do. But if you have a 2-7 record, you better
you do a lot of losing.
Better question whether or not you're going to be in the big leagues for too much longer.
On the bright side, they didn't have a game yesterday, so they didn't lose.
That's right. Hey, they got a 1-game winning streak going on right now. Oh man.
Oh boy.
All right, 314-912-1019. Updates on the indictment against Donald Trump. I'll tell you what the charges are that we know. We at least know the categories of what the federal charges are. We'll get more details on Tuesday, but let's also talk about the reaction to those indictments, including yours, right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I got no friends 'cause I read the papers. They can't be seen.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
Real shot down and I'm feeling mean. No more Mr. Nice Guy. No more Mr. Clean. No more Mr. Nice Guy. They say he's sick, he's obscene.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Matt Chambers with your first alert forecast. A little warmer today, but humidity remains low. Another very nice day for June. Sunny skies up to 84. Tonight, mostly clear and dry. Lows in the upper 50s to low 60s. Humidity creeps up a little tomorrow. It's a warmer day, too, with a high of 88. Stray shower possible late Saturday, but rain chances really rocket up on Sunday with occasional rain and storms. Cooler with highs only in the 70s. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This is Rob with St. Louis Bathroom Renovation, and we'd like to let you know you don't have to maintain the grout in your home anymore. The grout on the floor or in your shower or bath area. How would you like zero grout in your bathroom? At St. Louis Bathroom Renovation, we focus on grout-free options for your bathroom. If you hate cleaning grout, St. Louis Bathroom Renovation, 314-477-6476. 314-477-6476. Give us a call.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for the Walner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway. My wife and I wake up every day thankful to the Walners for the great new home they helped us find and for the tremendous success we experienced while selling our old home. The Walners have years of experience and a work ethic that is second to none, and for us, the results speak for themselves. But Tim, it's not just the Colombo family. So many St. Louis families have been helped by Rodney and Jen Walner.
They sure have, Tony. So if you have been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. The market is changing, but it's still a great time to sell. Put that experience and work ethic to work for you and see firsthand why the Walners sell 15 times more homes per year than your typical realtor before this window of opportunity passes you by. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wonder to yourself about how much you can get for it or how fast it could sell. Just call the Walner team now and get those answers so you don't have to worry or wonder another day. Just call 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD. For the Walner Home Selling Team.
News, analysis, opinion.
At the end of the day, we're going to be $1.3 trillion more in debt this year than last.
101.9 and 94.1.
Don't use a smoke and mirrors game in Washington and act like you're saving things because we are not.
News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Joe Pags. Catch me tonight at 7 o'clock. But right now, back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I love this song.
Mm-hmm.
Where Eagles Fly. Sammy Hagar.
That's it.
Yeah. Solo album. I think we should have some like big drums. That's a great song, Sammy Hagar. All right, 314-912-1019. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Pontigas here. Here's the thing: is on Fridays, we know that there is kind of a fatigue of all the news and all the politics and everybody being at each other's throats. And, we're normally trying to have a lot of fun, which we do every day anyway here.
Mm-hmm.
But on Fridays, strategically, I'm just kind of pulling back the curtain here because that's just what we do. You're part of the show. Everybody listening is part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
and we try to have a lot of fun on Fridays in particular. The idea is you're going into the weekend. Let's have some fun. Let's
light things up a little bit. Yeah.
And we do that. And I'm going to keep doing it. But when you find out that there's been a federal indictment of a former president of the United States,
first time ever,
I don't care if you like that guy or not. This is a really massive news story from a media perspective. But Gabe, what I've noticed is that the comments on Rumble, the phone calls that we've gotten, the reaction from other people in politics, which I'll read some of those, and I've got some sound bites that we can play, as well, is that there are so many people who are saying this isn't just about Donald Trump.
Yeah. There's a bigger issue going on here.
Much bigger picture. And it's not just about the 2024 election.
Which is definitely involved, is
Right.
definitely, something to consider.
Now,
But there's bigger things to add into that mix.
Right. Now, still, it is about Donald Trump. It is about the 2024 election. But I think consistently what we're seeing is that people are saying, wait a minute, this is about a lot more than that. It's a much bigger picture than that.
Yeah, it's the entire political landscape, I'm sad to say.
Yeah.
And as a kid coming from Chicago, golly, I've lived through a lot of this stuff up there. And to see it permeating so many parts of the country and all the way up to the top, from top to bottom, it's very, very troublesome.
So on Fox News last night, one of Donald Trump's lawyers, name is Jim Trusty. He was on with Laura Ingraham on Fox talking about these charges. And according to Jim Trusty, there is one federal charge of violating the Espionage Act. There are several charges of obstruction. This would relate to the Mar-a-Lago situation from what we're being told. There are multiple charges of making false statements, and as to what those are or where context, we don't know. We'll probably know a lot more on Tuesday when Donald Trump appears in federal court in Miami. And then there's at least one conspiracy charge as well that they have been notified of the indictment. So here's Jim Trusty talking about that on Fox last night.
There's absolutely no intent there. There's nothing to make sense. In fact, you can't even obstruct a non-crime as a starting principle. So when you have the Presidential Record Act defense, when you have declassification as a defense, then there's really nothing. I mean, he could have had a party throwing stuff in a bonfire and it wouldn't be obstruction.
I'm not a lawyer, but I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Yeah, don't
just
burn
saying.
documents.
But, and you can have a legitimate debate on whether any former president gets to take state government, federal government property with them when they leave. Okay.
Right.
Vivek Ramaswamy said, hey, there are questions for the courts on that.
Sure.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But what we've got right here is another part of the pattern of the Biden administration using the justice system, weaponizing the justice system, specifically targeting their political opponents. Because have you noticed that no liberal and no Democrat, for the most part, has committed a single crime since Biden was elected and took office?
Yeah, like not even down to the level of, the person throwing a firebomb into a 7-Eleven.
Squeaky clean.
It's kind of amazing when you look at all of the things that could and should have garnered some sort of response from the justice system on various levels, and they're usually coming out of the left. From rioters to federal officials having documents or servers that they shouldn't have, and conducting themselves in ways that they shouldn't, and not disclosing things that they should, and all of those things kind of fall by the wayside. Everybody kind of gives a shrug, it's like it's not that big of a deal, whatever. But then we move on to the people on the right, and oh my gosh, you left your fingernail on the ground next to the trash instead of throwing it in the trash. We're gonna throw you in chains.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, I miss that 7-Eleven.
Yeah, seriously.
That was downtown, just a few blocks from us here. Yeah, that 7-Eleven had been in that area for 40-some years. I think since my days at SLU. So when that was gone, whoa, that really made a statement. I think that, boy, we've got problems.
And you don't have slushies right
now.
now.
Yeah,
that's right.
They took the slushies from us.
Let me read a statement that was posted, one of the statements from Senator Josh Hawley. He posted, Joe Biden has used his Justice Department to go after parents as domestic terrorists, to spy on Catholic parishes, to terrorize and harass pro-life Christians, and tonight to indict his top political opponent, Trump. He has trampled the rule of law to benefit himself. He has led the country into profound danger.
He is not wrong. Like, everything he just said there is demonstrably true. Like, we can, his conclusion is arguable, but I don't think you can argue very long against it, given all of the true things that he led up to it with.
So, to my liberal friends out there, to the Democrats who listen, and we know you're out there, I wish you all would call more, to be real honest, but we know you're listening.
Talk to us.
Here's my advice to you. Be worried about what happens with Donald Trump, okay? The reason being is because someday, whether it's 2024, 2028, 2032, someday a Republican is going to get elected president. And if this is the precedent that you want, if you want what the Biden administration is doing to become the norm, then beware, because someday you're going to find the other party in the White House, maybe as soon as 2025, maybe 4 years after, I don't know. But if this is the power you think the executive branch should wield, and this is how you think the Department of Justice, this is how you think the FBI, this is how the EPA, this is how the IRS should act, in your opinion, you get elected, therefore elections have consequences, you get to go after your opponents because you won the damn election, you're not going to win all the elections. So when that happens, and if a Republican administration starts going after you, starts going after your former office holders, starts going after your organizations, ACLU and a bunch of others, and saying, you guys are corrupt, we're going to go after you. Wait a minute, you've got an activist group, you're putting free speech into place on stuff that we don't like, we're going to harass you too. Do you want that?
Yeah, and oddly enough, the interesting thing is when you, as the Democrats or the liberals, the left side of the aisle here, create this distrust in the use of the justice system, you basically make it an arm of whoever the executive is, and you assume that power can and will be used against you. You undermine legitimate uses of executive power. You undermine legitimate uses of investigatory power. So even if even if somebody from the right gets in and they're going after people who legitimately need to be investigated, like the Biden family, now it's just going to be, it can easily just be perceived or cast as, well, that's just sour grapes. They're just they're just being retaliatory. That's dictator stuff, even if it's actually true.
Right. So let's talk about the retaliatory stuff and say, well, what will they do to us? Okay, let's point out that going back, and again, this didn't start with the Biden administration.
No.
It started with the Obama-Biden administration, with the IRS targeting nonprofit groups and advocacy groups, political action groups that are conservative or were conservative. Many of them aren't around anymore, in part because the IRS went after them. Well, okay, the ACLU puts a lot of money into offering services to illegal immigrants to help them break the law to get into the United States. Guess what? They have a First Amendment right to advertise that.
Sure.
Okay? They have a First Amendment right to send lawyers to help them.
Sure.
So that is still something that would be ripe for a conservative Department of Justice and a conservative FBI under a conservative administration to say, we have a massive problem with illegal immigration. We're going to go after you and ACLU. You've got tens of millions of dollars. We've got billions. Bring it on. Now, my hope is we'd be consistent enough here to say, hey, what they're doing is awful, but they've got a free speech right to argue for that.
Sure.
You know what? The Southern Poverty Law Center is full of crap, and they're dishonest and they're liars, but they've got a right to put anybody on their website that they want and call them whatever names they want.
Sure. You can organize and raise money and everything.
Yep. You can have a socialist party in this country that advocates for locking up Christians.
Sure.
You know what?
That's free speech.
That's free speech. Do you want us infiltrating your organizations? Do you want us infiltrating your liberal churches, your rainbow flag churches, in order to disrupt and intimidate you as well? No, I don't want our side to do that. It means I don't want your side to do that, because I want government put back in its lane. That's why.
Absolutely. And then what happens if whoever is in power actually has a legitimate reason for investigating and searching out a nefarious group? Let's say they actually have evidence of crimes being committed by that group that calls itself Patriot something or other, or the group that calls itself the Progressive something Alliance. Let's say there's actually something nefarious going on and something against federal laws going on, and whoever the administration is, the head of that administration, they're sending their investigators after it. What does the other side get to say now? They get to say, oh, that's political. You're just coming after us because we have this in our title, just because we have this as our mission statement, even if there's something really bad going on. you can't have a country where you don't trust the people who execute the laws.
Listen, you're on the right. You're conservative. Maybe even you like a candidate that I like. You're advocating for something I like, but you engage in violence. You engage in criminal activity to try to advance it. I want you prosecuted. Because we can't have an ends justify the means. Anything goes as long as the end result is what matters mindset. That destroys those foundations of trust in a society. Right around 6 o'clock, Paul Kurtman was talking about de Tocqueville and his writings and the warnings that we had going back to like 1812 or whenever he was in the U.S. Observing the United States. It doesn't matter who swings the axe that chops down the foundation of our society. If you chop down the society, it crumbles and destroys us all, regardless of whether there's an R or a D on a red or a blue axe. And right now, those axes are big and they are deep blue.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's rough. We have all these analogies of the pillars that hold up society. We talk about the powder keg of political activity that we're sitting on right now, where we're tap dancing, maybe lighting fuses here and there, and I just keep coming back to I feel in trouble now. I feel as though the republic is in actual legitimate peril right now. I mean, we talk about how various elections are the most important ever, and all these other things. It isn't just the election that's most important. Just the way our society is going right now, I'm scared. I'm scared right now.
314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. By the way, when somebody says these next elections are the most important ever, every election is the most important election ever because every election is about the future.
Yeah, that's how we got here.
All right, we're going to have about 9 minutes for you to get your thoughts in on this. So let's talk. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Columbo and Katie.
On Friday, Gabe Pfeiffer from The Morning Show will join us to recap all the big stories of the week, and we'll get you prepared for the weekend with the weekend forecast from Channel 4 meteorologist Kristen Cornett at 2:45.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Missouri Wild Alchemy is a local and family-owned business dedicated to providing consumers with high-quality cannabis and education. They strive to make customers feel comfortable and to help curtail the stigma of cannabis use by having a professional and well-educated staff. They're proud to carry products from several Missouri cultivators and manufacturers. Missouri Wild Alchemy, now serving recreational customers 21 and above, as well as patients. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram, or visit MissouriWild.com. That's MissouriWild.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary, but that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at IGotFloored.com.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
At this point, President Trump is way ahead.
News, analysis, opinion.
The thing that's a shock to the economy is an administration at war with the American people.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I don't know, guys. I mean, if we're throwing out federal indictments, let's think about some things we could indict people on. Okay, let me just start throwing out some names here.
Okay.
What would you indict? What would you indict Eric Schmidt for?
Eric Schmidt.
Yeah, let's federally indict him on something.
Eric Schmidt. I don't know. Having a name that's difficult to spell.
People do get that name wrong.
You know what? It's like, come on, man, fix it. You can fix it. It doesn't take that much. You can. Hey, if people can change their gender, you can change your last name spelling.
That's true.
I mean, come on. You'd be indicted for that.
I would indict Eric Schmidt for intent to be a baseball player if he could. Because I'm telling you right now, if Eric Schmidt, if somebody said, "Hey, we're going to sign you up to play baseball for the Cardinals," yeah, but you'd have to leave the Senate, I have a feeling he'd like sign me up, dude. He's a massive baseball fan, like almost as much as me.
You know what? I want to indict Nick Schroer for having a beard that's better than mine.
He's guilty as charged. On that.
He's got some beard stature. I mean, it's nice and full and goes all the way around. It's like I've got kind of patchiness going on.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? You should be indicted for that. That's too much.
And Nick Schroer, you can hear every Sunday night. What is this, Del? From 8 to 9?
8 to 10, Mike.
8 to 10.
Whoa!
What do you mean 8 to 10? I thought he was on from 8 to 9.
We verified that Nick stepped in and said, no, I need more time.
All right.
So he's on from 8 to 10.
And you don't mess with him. He likes to throw axes and stuff. So
He
we're like,
needs
fine, take another hour.
Needs more space for his beard.
So 8 to 10 right here on Sunday evenings on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I want to indict people for not putting the shopping carts back and just leaving them floating around the friggin' parking lot.
Oh, nice. I will tell you that if you indict me for that, I am pleading not guilty.
Yes.
Because I hate that as much as you do.
Oh, yes. I'm putting them all back. Now, to be fair, if it's at Aldi, I thank you for the quarter.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying.
I think I've made like $6.50 over my lifetime just off Aldi quarters where somebody leaves it there.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate that. Thanks.
All right. Who would you indict, Stel?
Well, as a Cubs fan, I would indict Cubs management for only one World Series win in 108 years.
I'm just saying anybody can have a bad century. So let's go easy on the Cubs. Anybody can have a bad century.
Okay.
Oh, man. Hey, actually, speaking of baseball,
I'm crying on the inside.
I mean, with the way the Cards are doing right now, somebody might be needing to be indicted out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna indict the front office if they don't make some aggressive trades by the deadline coming up. I'm just saying.
We need some arms.
We need some arms, and we should be willing to trade some bats.
Yeah, there you go.
I know people don't want to hear that. Gloves and bats for arms.
Yeah,
do it.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see here. Let's just think of somebody else. Think of a name, and let's figure out an indictment. So think of a name, anybody, and then I'll think of an indictment that we can charge him for.
All right. How about Tucker Carlson? We got to indict Tucker Carlson today.
Okay, if you were to federally indict Tucker Carlson,
yes,
I would indict him for talking too fast.
The speed with which you deliver your information, sir, is exorbitant.
It's like, listen, dude, go to half calf or decaf for a little bit, okay? Then we can talk about whether we agree or disagree with you. But I would indict him for talking too fast.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love it. I love it. How about let's go through our GOP candidates.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
What are you indicting Ron DeSantis for?
I am indicting Ron DeSantis. Okay, that's a good one here. I am indicting Ron DeSantis on the charge of snarkiness towards liberal media.
He's like, are you blind?
Yes.
Remember that line?
Yes.
Are you blind?
And it's like the body language where he like waves off them. He's like, that's not what you're talking about. That's
Whatever.
a false narrative. This is why nobody likes you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, indicting on snarkiness to liberal journalists.
Okay, so Gabe, then we're going to federally indict Tim Scott for what?
Oh wow, what are we indicting Tim Scott for? So you know what? He's too reasonable. You know, you can't be that reason. If you're gonna live in Washington D.C. and have levels of political power, you can't be as reasonable as he is. You gotta come with a little more fire. I'm indicting Tim Scott for his reasonableness and his measured tones.
All right, Stel?
I'm gonna indict Vivek Ramaswamy
Mm-hmm.
for being a ton more smarter than I am.
It's like you can't be waving around your IQ like that, buddy. Take it easy.
All right, let me come up with one here.
Nikki Haley.
Yeah, okay, Nikki Haley. Let's indict Nikki Haley for picking the wrong messaging. She's right on the issues, but picking the wrong platform.
That's actually an indictable offense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like she'll push something, and it's the news that's important, but it's like a year ago. So it's like I'm saying you're not wrong, Ambassador. I'm just saying we already dealt with that, and we agree.
Right, exactly. It's like, can we move on? Maybe it's like catch up to the. We've gotten past that time.
Right. Okay. If we're going to issue a federal indictment against Vic Porcelli.
Oh, here we go. Vic Porcelli. Oh my gosh. You know what?
I would indict him for not bringing enough Italian cookies into the studio.
Hey, there it is.
Bring more cookies in, Vic.
Hey, yeah. I'm going to indict you for the lack of food.
Yes.
You're Italian. We know you make food. We know your wife can throw down in the kitchen. Bring more. Bring more into the studio.
Okay, let's be a little bipartisan here.
Okay. All right.
What
Yeah,
are
we
we
need
going
some.
to indict Tulsi Gabbard for?
Oh, Tulsi Gabbard.
You are accused of being hot.
I was gonna say you can't make a gray streak in your hair look that cool. It's like that's an indictable offense.
Think of one.
I would indict Larry Elder for lack of audio clips for us to use on the show.
Come on, Larry.
Come on. You're a media guy, Larry.
Now, occasionally I'll see like a little Twitter storm from him, but it's nothing you can grab to like throw out there.
He retweets a news story and then has his comment on it, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Larry, you work in radio.
You know how this works.
Use some audio, man.
You know what would get us going so that you could get the free publicity of news reporters talking about what you just said.
It's like he's not catering his campaign to talk show hosts.
It's kind of weird. He needs to be indicted for not catering his talk show to talk shows.
Yes.
It's like, you know how this works.
Because he expresses himself so well.
He does.
We keep waiting for stuff and it doesn't show up.
Yeah. Man. And he's always got a book to sell, which I'll usually buy. All right, we got Vic Porcelli coming your way, and then Dan Bongino, both of whom probably have some thoughts on the Trump indictment. Just saying.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend coming up on 9 a.m. in Mid-America. Welcome home.
Stories of New Americans.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me this weekend for Stories of New Americans, where you'll hear fascinating and inspirational personal stories of people from all over the globe who now call St. Louis home. We'll take a look at the U.S. through newcomers' eyes and get insight into world history and culture, and maybe just learn a little bit more about ourselves.
Stories of New Americans with Ron Clutho. Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.